Okay, let's get started, everybody. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Scott Hardy, and I am the Director of Technology for the Rawls Group. The way that I fit into the organization is my responsibility to maintain all the task lists of technology for all 6 of our locations. So on a daily basis, it's servers and workstations and network security, things like that, purchasing, coming up with procedures and things. But I also get involved with agent services when it comes to working with new agents and seasoned agents, focusing on Keller Williams technologies such as the e-agency marketing system, the e-edge marketing system and websites, and then of course the thing that's brought us together today is the Placester website. How many people already have your Placester site set up, or you've seen it at least? Some of you? So it sounds like we're in the right place though. We got some of y'all haven't even seen it yet, or it's not launched, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to get your site launched. It is intended that you follow along with me today. My goal is that you walk out of here with a sense of accomplishment, that you've got something tangible that you can show has been completed. Before we get into Placester though, I do want to introduce you to this website here. This web address here is rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. How many people are seeing this site for the very first time? rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. This is the departmental website for me. And the reason I like to start showing it is because while I try my best to respond to emails and phone calls that I get, it's difficult, and it's difficult to be timely. And I want you to see this website because this is the best way to get my attention. I have a team of folks that help me in responding to agent requests, and this is the gateway to communicating to us and letting us know that you need help. And right off the bat, when you come to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, you see I've got 2 big buttons here. One says create a help desk ticket, and the other one says book a remote tech session. These are my most 2 frequently pushed buttons on my website. If you click on creating a help desk ticket, it'll take you to a simple form. You've probably created a help desk ticket at some point in your life. Real simple form to fill out. First part's just contact information for you. And then the second part is a description of what kind of help you need. We ask you to give us category, just pick from the pull down, give a priority, pick from the suggestions. And when you submit this ticket, what happens is it goes into a queue, and it's being monitored by myself and a dispatcher and a couple of other technicians. And we respond to tickets not in the order we get them. We rank and rate every ticket we get, and we respond in the order of severity. So let's say you open a ticket saying, I can't print to my favorite printers, right there, right outside my office. We'll take that as a ticket. But if somebody else opens a ticket and says, nobody can print to any of the printers anywhere in the building today, obviously I got to deal with the bigger issue first, right? Most people get that logic. It's pretty straightforward. But it does beg the question of when am I going to get around to calling you on your ticket, you know? And so we thought about that, and we said, well, most people understand help desk logic. We were getting some feedback that people said, it's been 5 days or it's been 3 days since I've heard anything, and we decided to try this, and it's worked out great, booking a remote tech session, this other button. If you click through that button, it brings you to a place where you can pick either Chris Scroggs, who's my associate tech, or myself. If you click on one of our buttons, it does take you right into our schedule, which is published. It takes it a minute to pull up. And you can see what we have available. The green dots are availability. I do get filled up. It's hard to get an appointment in the same week, usually, especially as we get into the week. But if you were to choose one of these dates, for example, Friday, April 20th, at let's say 11 a.m., you get another simple form to fill out, who you are and contact information and what kind of help you might need. You can set your duration for the meeting, 30-minute or a 1-hour meeting. And these are remote technology sessions that when you click confirm booking, you now know exactly when you're going to hear from me. Because I'm going to call you at Friday at whatever time that was, 11 a.m. You just need to be connected to the internet for that call. You can be here at the office, you can be at home, at Starbucks. A lot of times I'm on a hotspot in my truck making my calls. I got a steering wheel desk. Y'all ever used a steering wheel desk before? Check it out. It is a game changer. I used to sit here in my driver's seat and turn, and I have my laptop off to the side, and I get headaches and backaches and stuff. But now I've got the steering wheel desk, flat piece of plastic. You just slap it on your steering wheel, and it keeps you straight. Right? You just put your laptop on there. It's like $30. You can get it from Amazon.
Not while you're driving, though, right?
Well, it takes practice. No, not while you're driving. You can't do that. But I pull over all the time. Pull over, make a quick call, something that before would have been a real nuisance and a pain to get to. You know, if your phone's got a hotspot and you got internet anywhere you go. I was fortunate enough, I bought a truck this year that actually has built-in Wi-Fi, and I sprang for the $20 a month unlimited internet, and it is awesome, right? So I feel like I got a mobile command center. In fact, when you join my Wi-Fi, that's what it says, mobile command center. But anyway, a lot of times I'm on the side of the road making these calls, and we can focus on pretty much just about anything you need. The only thing we'd have trouble supporting is maybe a network issue itself, but in just about anything else we can tackle. Has anybody done a remote session with me yet so far? It'll only be a matter of time. This is very popular. A lot of people choose these options. They're free. There's no limit to the number. Whoops, I closed the page. There's no limit to the number of appointments you can get. And there's a couple reasons why I wanted to show that. One, because it is a great way to get a hold of us. But the other reason is as we get into our content today, there's going to be topics that we can only go so deep into, and we're going to run out of time. And so quite often I will say, now, that's as much as I'm going to show you on that today. If you want more information, book a tech session with me. Get on my calendar, and that's what I'm talking about. Just come to my website, click on remote tech session. A lot of times folks will say, hey, it was a great class. I learned a lot, but I'm not ready to apply everything I learned, and they'll set an appointment in a week from now and continue working on their website on a one-on-one basis or something along those lines. So you're welcome to do that, and I would encourage it.
Okay, so this website, you work with Scott Leroy, or you?
I don't. That's a great question. Scott Leroy and I are two different people. I'm Scott Hardy.
Oh, I know, but when I first got to this office, I heard a lot of Scotts. It was Scott Leroy and Scott.
There are two Scotts,
okay,
and I'm one of them.
But it was, with relevant to the same technical, get yourself started thing. So he works with this company?
So no, Scott Leroy works with his own company called Scott Leroy Marketing.
Okay.
And I'm employed by the Rawls Group. I'm in-house tech.
Okay.
My primary function is to keep the house running.
Gotcha.
Right? But I moonlight into tech support for e-agency and e-edge and Placester stuff as well.
Okay.
Not every location is lucky enough to have Scott Leroy membership. Y'all do, which is great.
Okay.
But in other locations, they lean on me a lot more because they don't have the Scott Leroy subscription, which if you're not using that Scott Leroy, I mean, he is a great resource to check out.
Okay,
I'm a
so
big
you're
fan
the
of
tech and the e-edge and things like that. Everything to do with our technical issues for this company. Okay.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Great question, by the way.
Thank you.
A lot of people trying to figure out. A lot of people trying to figure out which Scott are we talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about myself. Hello. Other resources on this website I think that are worth mentioning is my training calendar. At the very top, you can see I've got training up here. And if you click on training or just the current training events there, you can see my current training schedule. You can see where and what I'm teaching. Pretty much everything I'm doing right now is the Placester Setup. That's the class that most people are scheduling for me. We're going to start offering some additional classes. But you can always see where I'm at and what I'm teaching. You can see my next, here we are today. My next class, I need to update that, will be at East Cobb. Then I'll be at Cityside, April 17th. My classes always start at 1 o'clock. This class goes from 1 to 4 today. Sometimes people are surprised to hear that. They get this far and they're like, whoa, this goes till 4 o'clock today? And actually, I don't leave at 4 o'clock. I make time to hang out. If you're working on your website, I'll stay afterwards. And people say, I got a life. I got things I got to do. I got to go, whatever. Here's the thing. If you just realize how long the class is and you're thinking, I got to leave here at 2 o'clock. Well, if you were to show up at one of these classes at 2 o'clock, you would pretty much pick up right where you leave off today because I'm very consistent and just follow through a syllabus here. So you're welcome to join me at any of those other classes if you need to make up something you missed or if you just want to get reinforcement or if you want to find out when I'll be back here at this location. Another resource that I want you to see on my main page is I have this carouseling. I don't like it, to be honest with you. I need to think about how I've got it, but I've got this carouseling or slideshow of information. I'll click on this first thumbnail here, where I've got the Placester website Setup 101 class converted to a video. It covers everything that we're going to cover today and even a little bit more. If you click on that, it'll take you to this video on my website where I cover the entire contents of today. And one thing I'm really happy about is I was able to figure out how to create a table of contents. So if you're interested in a specific topic, if you hear me today and then you go home and you think, now what did he tell us about IDX Setup? Well, there it is right there. You could actually just click on IDX Setup and get a quick refresher on that particular topic. Some people have told me they watched the whole thing from start to finish and never needed to come to the class. They got their site set up and they're rocking and rolling. Some people leave this class at 4 o'clock and go home and watch the whole thing again.
That sounds like
That's
me.
not true.
Yeah,
I'm
it
making
sounds-
that up.
No, but it sounds like something.
If that
Yeah, I
is you,
probably
though,
would.
you could
Me
certainly
too.
go do that. No problem.
Okay. And how do we get there again?
It's just rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com on the main page.
Okay.
And if you don't see it at first, just watch. It'll cycle through. Here it comes. There it
Oh,
is right
okay.
there.
Oh, right there. Okay.
And you can just click through it and get it started up. I've got a couple of other topics that are cycling through right now. Kind of a 201 class for Placester and how to buy a domain. But
The next steps, that would be
the 201
Okay.
topic. I did the next steps. I did that at Tech Lab. Here it is. And the feedback I got on it was they said good content, but too advanced, too much information. They want me to whittle it down and kind of break it down in smaller pieces and maybe break it down into some additional classes. So I haven't done that yet. What this is a raw dump of my Tech Lab slideshow and video. So if you're eager and you want to get into it, you can certainly watch this and get through it. Talks about buying and purchasing domains, optimizing your content, and then tracking your website with Google Analytics is what it covers. So more advanced topics.
But we already have a domain, so we don't need to buy a domain.
You do need to buy a domain.
We still do.
I would highly recommend you get a domain, and we'll talk about that today.
Oh.
Yep, so I would
Well,
definitely
I
make sure
have
you
a
get a
domain.
domain. That's a great point, though. Hold on to that thought. I'm going to shed
Alright.
some light on that today.
Okay.
One final resource that I'll share with you is not on this website. It's at YouTube, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but this is a great thing to know if you're not. If you go to YouTube, did y'all know that we stream the classroom? So if you go to YouTube and you do a search for, I think for here it's KW Peachtree Road. Let's see, if I just do a search for KW Peachtree Road. There it is right there. And you click on our logo there with the We Are Number One. Notice where it says we're live now. I don't have the cameras in the ceiling on. I'm watching my desktop right now is what I'm transmitting. So today's entire class is going to Facebook, I said that wrong, to YouTube Live. And then it adds to the library at the end when we finish recording. So you can always come back and you can look at Peachtree Road's libraries where you can see a little 5-second delay. But here's all the videos for team meetings and stuff, and then today's class.
Oh, I didn't know that was
So if you miss team meeting, you can always go back and you can look at it, which is really nice.
Cool.
And here's the nice feature. If you subscribe to the channel, then you can turn alerts on. So whenever the cameras are rolling, whether it's in the ceiling or on the desktop, you get a little text on your phone that says, hey, the training room's live. You can listen while you're driving around or watch it from home, that sort of thing.
That is cool to know.
So those are some resources I just like to kind of share with you as we're getting started. Let's switch gears though and talk more about the Placester websites. In order to access your Placester website, you're going to have to get into mykw.kw.com. You probably recognize this site here. Oh, let me get mine in. It's always hard to remember a password when everybody's looking at you. I don't know if you'll know that, but it's funky. Let's see, I think I've got that one.
Okay, my KW.
Y'all recognize where I am?
Yes.
If you're a new person, you definitely want to make sure you can get into this website here. If you can't get in this website, if you don't have a login, you need to check with your agent services and get access. Before I show you exactly where to get the Placester site, though, I do want to spend a few minutes talking about the fact that we're kind of in an interesting time with Keller Williams in terms of websites and marketing. And if you don't already know this, we're sort of overlapping with several different systems. It can be kind of confusing. Even the names are similar. So let me throw some things at you and then try to put some light on it. So currently today we have 3 marketing engines, is the way I like to call it. We have eAgency. Have you heard of that? That's an old system. Most people I'm asking these days are like, nope, haven't heard of it. But it is out there. You've heard of your mobile search app for your phone? That's an eAgency product. eAgency used to be our backbone for database and website and the mobile search app. I've been doing this since 2004 for the Rawls Group. When I got here, eAgency was like the in-house products, what everybody was using. And then about, 8 years ago or so, maybe less, Keller Williams partnered with Market Leader and they created the eEdge system, which is what you see right up in here, right? And most people nod their head and say, yeah, sure, eEdge. Odd, you got something called eAgency and then something else called eEdge. I have to stop and think about it every time I say it, and I've been saying it a lot. It's very similar names. eEdge came along though and sort of booted eAgency out, and they became our in-house database, marketing system, and website system, right? And then about 3 years ago, Placester came about, where Keller Williams said, you know what, we're moving our website system to this new company called Placester, and now today, in the last 3 years and up till today, Placester is our current website system. And here's where things get confusing. eAgency has a website that's live, eEdge has a website that's live, and Placester has a website that's live. So when I get a phone call and somebody says, I'm working on my website, my first question is, which website you working on? You know, and most people I'm finding are thinking they need to be on the Placester. They may accidentally be in a different system thinking they're in Placester, but at least people know the word is out, be on your Placester site. So to help alleviate some of that confusion, I just want to point something out here. On the eEdge control panel, here's our eEdge control panel. eEdge does several things for us. Provides a database, provides a marketing system, and it does provide a website. And right now, International says eEdge is still our in-house database and marketing component. So when you're thinking I've got to have a database, I need to feed my database, I need to market my database, there's nothing that says you must use eEdge. eEdge is just an option that KW gives for you, right? And it's a great starting, right, CRM.
Okay.
And so if you're looking for the KW answer for a CRM or database and marketing, then if you called up Gary Keller, he's going to point you to this right now. Question?
I've heard rumors that the database part is going away, that we're going to be getting something new.
Yep, that's right. Those aren't rumors.
Do you know anything about that?
I do. I went to family reunion this year, and normally I go to mega camp in the summer and family reunion in the fall. And this year mega camp was not held because of the hurricanes, but we did go to Anaheim, and they followed up with some of the things they revealed previous years, where KW has a new initiative altogether to be a technology company. What they want to do is stop cobbling together third-party systems. They want to stop paying other companies to make a database and somebody else to make a marketing system and yet somebody else to make a website system, and try to clump them together into this one operating system. So what KW has said is their new vision is to build all this in-house. It's just going to take time. So there's different.
It's not something we should wait on.
I don't think you should right now, because your business, you don't want to let your business wait on it. What you want to do is you want to be observant and be listening for when the announcements come out that now the next thing is available, and then the next thing is available, and start plugging your systems in. The wonderful thing about MREA, if you're following the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is it's a study of systems, right? It's not a study of products. So you can take your database, put it in eEdge, market your database with eEdge, and then when the time comes, take that out and plug that same concept into what KW is releasing. It's called KW Command is what it's called. You can check in on the progress of KW's releases by going to Education and then KW Connect, and then look for the labs under Technology. See what I did is came up with Resources and then Technology, and then you should be able to find the labs dashboard. There it is right there. And this is a showcase of all the different products that are coming out and how and where they are in releasing them. So if you're trying to figure out what's coming out next, they have different stages. Stage 1 is an incubation stage. You can't get to anything in incubation. Controlled introduction is a early adopters type stage. Limited availability is a second degree of early adopter, and then general availability. So anything under general availability is available now. You can get your hands on it. KW Kelly, their Touch ID, their fingerprint authentication, KW Command contacts with groups. I didn't know that's come out. Look at that, Manage and Explore CGI. I wonder what that is. That kind of looks new. Manage KW Command contacts with groups. Come back over here and look for KW Command. So the Facebook ad connection's coming out soon. It's under control. I haven't looked at this in a while, but you can come in, you can follow all the products that are coming out. It's out of the scope of what we're supposed to be talking about today, but I'll give you that resource and encourage you on your own to take a look at it and get an idea of what's happening. So again, I just got that by going into Technology. Excuse me, I went to Education, KW Connect, and then Technology under Resources. And I had to go to a class to learn where all that was. I mean, even I had to. So it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on. But the takeaway for today's class, though, is that for eEdge, know that they offer a database, a marketing system, and a website. and the database and the marketing system is the official in-house component. I would recommend you avoid the website for eEdge and focus on the Placester website as the current website. Check this out, under marketing for eEdge, if I open it up, here's some different marketing pieces. Look at these two titles here, Manage eEdge website, Manage eAgency website. These are those old systems that I'm talking to you about. I would not use these old systems. If you've been building your website here under these two links, I would stop and then begin coming up here to technology, up here in this black band, and this is how you get to Placester. Go to this technology and then come into KW websites. I wish they would write the word Placester right there. That would help so much to know. But this is what we want right here. When you click on KW websites, it brings you to the portal for Placester. Anybody lost? Anybody seen this for the first time? All right, good.
Well, when I log in, it automatically takes me to that for some reason now.
You may have a pop-up that comes up. You can turn that pop-up off.
Okay.
I'll show it to you in a minute. Actually, I meant to show it to you a second ago. You may see a pop-up. Let's see if I've got it here. I may not have it handy. If you're getting a pop-up every time you log in that says your website's ready, click here to do your website and work on your website. You can actually turn it off. There's a button on the pop-up that says, don't show me this again. Yeah, I don't have a screenshot of it handy. You can disable that so you don't get the annoying pop-up every time. So what we want is we want to be on this page here that says your website is ready. If you see anything other than your website is ready, if you're a really new agent, it may say it's not quite ready, come back later. But if you've been around here for 7 days or more, it should say your new website is ready, and you can click on go to my website, and that'll take you to the control panel, the dashboard of the Placester site, and that's what's coming up for me now. This is my dashboard. It's kind of a busy dashboard. We're going to actually get into a different component than the dashboard here in just a minute.
Can I ask you a question
You
really
may.
quick? On my KW, you know how your photo popped up? Mine doesn't. Do I have to submit that to you?
You should get with Ruth Jackson.
Okay.
Get her to get your photo in there. Yep.
Okay.
You mean my photo right here or the photo at KW?
The photo here and in KW.
Yeah, so you're going to learn today how to do this.
Oh, okay.
You get with Ruth Jackson. She'll help you get your white pages up to date.
Okay,
Yep.
white pages.
You know Ruth Jackson?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Ruth.
right. Yeah,
That's
she'll
my
get your
friend.
she'll get your website. Your
Okay.
profile up to date. So depending on what you've done already, if this is your first time to come to this website, then your page may look a little bit different. If you've been here before and you've been playing your website, it may look more like mine. Focus your attention for just a moment, if you will, at quick actions. And just below quick actions, I've got the option for view live site and edit site. What you might see is, if this is your first time, is instead of view live site, you may see launch your site. If you're seeing the words launch your site under quick actions, go ahead and click on launch your site right now. If, like me, you don't have launch site, it just says view live site or edit site, go ahead and click on edit site right now.
My page doesn't have anything on it whatsoever.
Is it a white page?
Yeah.
Oh, totally white?
Yeah.
Close the page and come back into it. That happens sometimes. I see that every once in a while. So if you have just launched your site, raise your hand, let me know if you just launched your site. Okay, if you just launched it, then on the next page that I can't create, so look, on the next page, kind of in the middle, you should see the words edit site right now. If you just launched it, you should see edit site. Go ahead and click on edit site. If your quick actions look like mine, and you click on edit site with me, then all of us should be on a page that looks like this right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure we're on it.
Hers is completely different.
Let's see what you got.
No. Like I hit here, and this is what came
Oh,
up.
you explore.
So I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
I
if
guess
you
it's
are in
just
Internet Explorer, I would definitely recommend doing that in Chrome.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Do it in Chrome and see what you get. That's a great point. I get that question a lot. People say, what browser should I be following along in? Or should I be working in? And what I would say is it's really a choice between Chrome and Firefox. It's not that I hate on Microsoft. I used to be a Microsoft person, but now I'm an Apple person. But Internet Explorer is kind of a train wreck these days, unfortunately. So I see you got an Apple, that's good. If you called KW and said, hey, what browser should I use? They would probably tell you Firefox, because the word is that a lot of these systems were developed and coded against Firefox back when they created the infrastructure. But I see that Chrome works just fine. Every once in a while, I might get kind of painted in a corner and something may not work, and I'm in Chrome, and I'll think, let me get out of Chrome and try that in Firefox, and then it works. You know?
I always use Safari.
Safari is good enough. You can probably get by in Safari. I would just say it's more of a preference. So if you're a Safari girl, go ahead and use Safari.
Yeah,
but I would avoid Internet Explorer.
Oh yeah.
So
that's pretty old school.
It is a little bit old school.
Yeah,
So let me ask: is anybody lost now? Does everybody know where I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we get into all this, because this is where we're going to be spending most of our time, I just want to take a minute and show you what my Placester site looks like, and show you some features so we can kind of get them in our mind what we're going to be doing, and then we're going to come back to this area and we're going to start working on your site. So the first item I would show you on this control panel is over here in the top right. I've got a link I can click on called View Live Site right here. Are you getting into it?
Yeah, I should be.
Okay. So if you click on View Live Site, I'm going to click on mine right now. Then you can see my website, and I just want to kind of go over my site and show you some things. So this is my Placester site right here. You're looking right now at one of 8 different templates.
Okay.
Today we'll learn how to choose different templates. They all feature a banner area across the top. We're going to learn today to get control over the banner, including these social media icons. We'll learn today how to get our KW logo in there. I'll give you one guess where I taught the class last, right? City side, you can see. You get control over your branding information, taglines. We'll learn some more about that. We'll get your photo in if you brought your photo, and get your contact information in. One thing I should mention is look at my web address. My web address is https://shardy.kw.com. That is a domain, right? Technically speaking, it's a domain. Technically speaking, it's a subdomain because it's something.something.com. shardy.kw.com. The KW is the parent domain here. The significance is that everybody in the organization starts out with a domain that's kind of like that. I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in some a little bit. That didn't really zoom in on the toolbar up there. But my web address is shardy.kw.com. I'll speak on it today, how to change that around. When we get to the control panel, I'll show you where I can make changes to that. But the idea is that a domain like shardy.kw.com could cause problems because it's dependent on KW, right? It's owned by KW. You can see it in the name, shardy.kw.com. It's right there. So what happens if I were to take that web address and put it on my business cards and put it on my marketing? Well, at first it would work, right? Mechanically speaking, I could get away with that. But what happens next year maybe, or in the year after that, after I've branded that web address for 2 years and KW makes a big announcement and says, we are shutting down the Placester sites and we're going on to this new thing, and so everybody's getting a new web address. All of a sudden, all your marketing and your branding is spoiled, right? So without getting into the weeds, I'll tell you the bottom line is the best practice is to get a branded domain, something that you can get through. I recommend GoDaddy. If you've heard of GoDaddy, they're kind of a household name. GoDaddy sells web addresses. You don't have to use GoDaddy, but I think they're the best blend of price, reliability, and I love their customer support. They're really good. And I would recommend that you work on coming up with a branded domain that you could then impose over your web address instead of the shardy.kw.com. Normally, I use treehousefinder.com, and I want to show you how I'm going to turn that on today. I use treehousefinder.com because, I'll get you a question in a second, because I'm not a salesperson. I'm 100% technical, and I just embrace a fictitious business of selling tree houses. So I went and I got treehousefinder.com, pretending like I'm the treehouse realtor, kind of thing. What was your question?
So, like you had mentioned earlier, using Google for the analytics and everything, like, do you not use them at all for domains? You don't think they're good, or is there any problem with them?
I don't have a problem with them. I guess I've just used GoDaddy for so long, and anytime when I'm working with them and they say, oh, I use a Google domain, I don't even pause. I'm like, okay, no problem. I think they're good. It's a good question. I think GoDaddy probably has a better name recognition out there as far as domain registers. They may have better pricing, and they're certainly very well documented, so.
That's good.
And I'll tell you another thing. This is the difference. To me, the tiebreaker is that GoDaddy probably has way better tech support than Google. Google kind of keeps you at arm's length when it comes to tech support. GoDaddy, they pick up the phone, they solve your issue. They're much more customer service oriented. So for that, I would say I would lean to GoDaddy, probably over Google. First time anybody's ever asked me that question. It's a good question. So we'll talk more about getting how I'm going to change that name over there. I just want to bring that up. The domain name that KW gives me is shardy.kw.com. It's just not really good for branding. It's good to get your site launched, though, you know, and get things started. We'll talk more about that. Moving on down the website, I've got navigation that we'll learn today. Mine starts out with the word home and listing search and about me. It gets to my bio and a property search. You won't have featured cities. That's a custom button that I've added, which to my point, you can add custom buttons. You'll learn today how to add some objects to our toolbar. We'll add 2 links to our toolbar today. We'll add a link to download your mobile property search for your phone, which is a handy link to have. And we'll learn also how to add the link for this month in real estate video, which is a dynamic video that changes each month. It'll be a good experience for you to learn how to add things to your menu. You get exposed to some ideas there today. Right in the middle here, I've got this big search tool, for sale or for rent. And you probably know what's going on here, right? You plug in a criteria. It's hard to see. It's kind of washed out on the blank there, but it asks for me to put in a city, a zip, a neighborhood, or an address. What happens if I put in criteria there and hit search? Anybody? It's not a trick question. It's
Bring up listing.
property search, right? It's going to tap into a database of listings and it's going to show me results. This is, in particular, an IDX property search, though. Have you ever heard of that before? IDX? Something that usually a new agent maybe gets exposed to, but I find a lot of times by this far along, most people in the room don't know what IDX is, and it's an important thing to know. So I want to make sure we've got our understanding of IDX. This is an IDX property search, and here's a very simple explanation of what IDX is. First off, it's an acronym. It stands for Internet Data Exchange. And what it does is it provides, it's a technology that provides to you as the agent a property search that you can allow consumers to search your MLS database, and it produces results showing all the public comments, all the details and specifications of a listing. It shows everything but one piece of information. One piece of information is stripped away from the search results. Any idea what that might be?
Listing agent?
Absolutely. It's the listing agent. That is the characteristic of an IDX property search. If somebody has a property search on their website and it's revealing the listing agent, that's not an IDX. And the reason that's important to have IDX is because it positions you to be a buyer's agent, right? I could be driving down the road, get a phone call, somebody could say, hey, I was at, they're not going to say I was at shardy.kw.com, but they might say I was at treehousefinder.com, we'll turn that on later, and I was looking at listings and I saw a tree house in Sandy Springs I would love to buy, or I saw a condo in Sandy Springs I would love to buy, I'm interested in it, what can you tell me about it? And I'm thinking, I don't even sell condos. Why is this person calling me? No, I know what's going on. My IDX has gone to work for me, right? Because they've done a property search, they saw some features or something of a listing they're interested in, and because they're seeing it on my website and the listing agent's contact info is taken out and my contact information is put in, there's my contact info. So watch, if we do a search for this Sandy Springs, for example, don't know why I'm stuck on Sandy Springs today, but I am. If I do that search and come in here and look at the results, there it is. That looks just like my neighbor's house, actually. No, I'm kidding, actually. But look, if I look in here for details, I'm going to see all the public comments and the details and descriptions, but the contact information's up here if they're going to call somebody or email somebody. And if you scroll down on this listing, and if you engage in the get in touch call to action right here, the consumer fills this form out, it's going to go to me, right? And so if I get contact on that, I can work it as a buyer. I've actually had somebody before call me and say, hey, something's wrong with my website because I'm getting calls on listings that aren't even mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing with those? I hope you're working the call, and I hope you're, you train your brain to go into a buyer's agent script, right? And you start working and speaking in terms of a buyer. So that's super important for us to have IDX. Sometimes I've had some agents say, well, you know what, I don't care for the Placester IDX. I don't like the layout. I don't like the functionality of it. I love realtor.com. And they'll put a link next to contact. They'll put a link that says search property, and they'll link to realtor.com. That's not an IDX search, right?
What
If you
does
go to
IDX stand for?
Internet Data Exchange.
Okay.
If you go to realtor.com and do a search, you see the listing agent. Imagine what a tragedy it is if you get traffic to your website, somebody manages to get to your website, and you've got a link to realtor.com, and they click on it, and they go to realtor.com and do the search, they're going to call the listing agent, not you. So you're giving the business away if you do that. And there's a lot of folks running around that don't know the difference between an IDX and a non-IDX search. So this is big. To have IDX search built into our website is important.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see it in some other places today.
So like I typed in Sandy Springs and it just says no results or anything.
Your database is probably not turned on yet.
Okay.
That's going to be one of the first things we do. Definitely one of the first things we'll do.
And I'm with commercial real estate.
Oh,
John
okay.
Thompson.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so he wants to relaunch this because he branded whatever. So if there's ever differences between residential and commercial, that'd be greatly appreciated. So, for example, can I somehow connect this to something that's
To like, what's it called in commercial?
CoStar?
The CoStar. You cannot.
Okay. I figured, but I thought I would
Yeah.
just ask. So if there's anything that just like commercial that I could do differently.
I really should get in the habit of asking, is there anybody in commercial here?
Maybe.
Because the truth of the matter is this is not a commercial product.
Yeah.
It just simply isn't.
Yeah.
They do have a commercial template, and it makes for kind of a good storefront,
Well, so
online
right now-
presence, but.
Sorry, my backstory, but we have Wix,
Mhm,
just
okay,
just
yeah.
to start or whatever, and he was like, let's just launch this Placester, get rid of Wix, and then pay somebody to make a pretty one later on.
That would be the plan. If you're
So
planning
that's
on
what-
this is just intermediary, then I think so.
That's what Wix was, and then we were
Uh,
paying $25 a
yeah.
month or something, and he's like, let's just use the free
Yeah.
one and then pay somebody to do it.
Where this product shines is for the residential agent, single agent. If you're a team, it's got difficulties trying to incorporate a team presence. But if you're a single agent selling residential, this site shines. If you're a commercial agent, it's going to have some deficiencies in it.
But we can still list our listings on it.
You can,
Okay.
yeah, you can.
Like just putting our flyers and
Right.
whatnot, pictures.
You can put your inventory up. You should be able to put your inventory
Okay.
up. I don't know about putting the flyers in there. Maybe we get offline together and talk about some of the things you're trying to do.
Okay.
So it's so special for commercial, but yeah,
Sorry,
y'all
we're
are
the
definitely,
troublemakers out of
y'all are
there.
the troublemakers for
Sorry.
sure.
I'm sorry.
Behind my property search here, we've got a slideshow. Now, granted, my slide is not sliding through. I've turned my slideshow into a custom slideshow, and in my mind, this is my treehouse. See, my treehouse would have a hammock and a couple chairs and some open windows like that. Anyway, by default, the sliders start up with 5 slides per show, and there's about 5 or 6 different shows that you can use. And we'll learn today how to get control over this area. I just liked experimenting with a single image because rather than having the images slide in a cycle, I think that looks really chilled out. I just like the single image. You'll get control over this today. You'll learn how to use the built-in sliders, and you'll learn how to build your own custom slideshow, whether it's 1 or 5, up to 5 slides. Now moving down the list here, we're running into another IDX feature. These right here, featured properties, is powered by IDX as well. Same principle applies. When you click through any one of these listings, it will strip out the listing contact info and show everything but the listing agent, giving you an opportunity again to be a buyer's agent. And today you'll learn to control these featured properties. There's 2 scenarios we'll run through. One will be that you're an agent that has no inventory at all, and you need to get your listings, or excuse me, you need to get some listings showing that are relevant to your price point, your geography, and maybe your niche. That's the problem here. If you look, I mean, I would love to sell a $11 million listing, of course,
That
but
would be beautiful. You have your license card?
no, I don't. I'm not a salesperson, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I know like 5,000 realtors, so I'm good. If I need to practice real estate, I'll hire somebody. No, it's just not in my wheelhouse. But you know, the idea would be to reel these in. If I didn't have inventory, that's one thing, but I wouldn't want to be showing these things. They're all over the place. So I'll today show you how to get the geography right, the pricing right, so you're strategically showing some showcase properties here. And we'll talk about the 4 tiles and how they work and how they're organized. The second scenario for featured properties that we'll also talk about is in a scenario where you actually do have inventory. So you want to push your specific inventory up there and showcase your listings. So that'll be what we'll cover when we get there today. Moving on down, the site does feature testimonials. We usually run out of time before we can get into the testimonials area, but I will show you that it does have testimonies, and you can see that I work with some very high-end clients. I used to have photos of all these people until I put the Donald Trump picture up, and got attacked for a $700 fine for not having permission to use the photo. Now, to his credit, it wasn't Donald Trump coming after me. It was some company that hosts photos. And they're like, hey, that's our photo. You didn't pay for it. And I was like, right. So, and they're like, yeah, so you owe us $700.
Did it fall under like free use?
I thought it did fall under free use, but what I found out is, and we'll get into this to more detail, I'm kind of stealing my own thunder, but what I found out is there's a scam going on where you will see free use websites, and then you engage in those sites and use the image, but lo and behold, the actual image is hosted at a foreign server, not a domestic server, that falls under different terms. And so while you might have gotten, it's a bait and switch trick, so you might have gotten interested in a particular photo and thought, oh, okay, it says free to use. Well, yeah, but as long as you're on the same region as the server, and guess what? They're advertising it with an American server, but they're hosting it on a foreign server, and you're in the United States on a domestic IP and all this, and they get all these legal things going on, and next thing you know is a local American law firm getting a hold of you going, okay, you violated the terms, you owe, we'll just take blood, how about that? You know, I mean, it's crazy, it's a sick business. We'll talk about some of that. So I took my headshots down, and I can't find free shots of any of my customers. So, but anyway, as we get to the area where the testimonies are, I'll try to remember to point them out. Most common question I get about testimonies, people say, hey, how do they get in there? You know, does the customer put them in, or do we put them in? The answer is you put them in. You would, you know, ask your client, hey, can you give me a quick testimony, email it to me, and then you can edit it and get it the way you want, and there's a place you can enter it in, and if they give you a photo and permission to use their photo, you can put it up.
Wow, you have real testimonies from these people?
No, it's fiction. This whole site is fiction.
Oh, the whole site is fiction.
Yeah, the whole thing is fictitious.
So if someone leaves us a review on our YouTube channel, like a really nice one, we can repost it?
You sure could.
Okay.
Yeah, you could.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would think so. The one thing I would be careful of is make sure that, now if somebody's doing a review on your YouTube channel, then I guess you have rights to it. Just make sure you have permission to use whatever content it is that you're using. Always make sure.
Yeah, it's public. So
there you go, the public license. So the site continues with some further call to action and information about me, just my contact information and a call to action, get in touch. If somebody were to fill this out and submit it, you get an email to your email and file. We'll talk about which email's on file, letting you know somebody submitted a form. It also features a certification area, a gallery of certifications we'll go through today, and we'll learn how to add certifications if you possess a certification. Surprise, these people haven't called me because I don't own any of these certifications, but most people would agree National Association of Realtors and Equal Housing Opportunity are two that everybody in the room could put on their website, so we'll at least get that on there today. And at the bottom of the page, it finishes up with a footer that recaps some contact information and access to my social media down here. And we'll get control over all this today, and we'll talk about some compliance issues about the footer and your contact information before we conclude today. And we'll make sure that our sites are compliant. Now that I've showed you my landing page, and this is kind of a high-level view of the website, one thing I will show you that is not as obvious, but I think is super important, is these websites are mobile responsive. Who's heard of that before? Mobile responsive, that's kind of a buzzword. If you talk to a web developer today about a website project, inevitably they're going to say, does it need to be mobile responsive? And you're going to say, yes, it needs to be mobile responsive. Mobile responsive means that it essentially is universal. Right now, it's universal in terms of how the page is laid out and what devices it works on. It means that it'll work on a computer, it'll work on a phone, on a tablet. And right now what's happening is my website is laid out on a desktop computer, and the site's smart enough to know that, right? It can tell that the aspect ratio, the width and the height are similar to a desktop, so it's presenting the website to me for a computer. But if I were to look at the site on a phone, and if I were to simulate that, I could break this window down, because the website, again, is smart enough to know when the height and the width are more like a phone, that kind of shapes like a phone, sort of, a big funky phone. Look at the website though. The website has maintained all of its function and content, but it has responded to the new aspect ratio, and it's changed some things. First off, the menu's gotten condensed into what I've learned is the hamburger. I don't know if y'all know that. This is The hamburger. My 8-year-old taught me that when he was 8 years old. He's 11 now. Love sharing that story. He had his tablet, and I was trying to help him, and he was saying, just tap on the hamburger. And I was like, the hamburger? What are you talking about? And I saw his little finger go across my face over into the corner, and he tapped on that, and he goes, the hamburger. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Their little eyes see so much other little
yeah, they interpret
things.
it.
Yeah, they interpret.
I was like, man, I just got schooled by my kid. I'm supposed to be the tech guy. But anyway, there's the result of clicking on the hamburger. The menu is accounted for. It's just, I call that an accordion. I think that's the actual classification, in the web design. But anyway, we'll go with hamburger. I think that's, yeah. Anyway, so you can see the picture is still there. It's actually been resized. Our property search is still working. This is great. Our feature properties, it's been changed from a horizontal band to a column. And something that somebody pointed out to me once I thought was really observant is not only is it reoriented, but notice how the pictures are actually bigger in the mobile version. The aspect ratio of the actual photos got bigger. I was like, oh, that makes sense for a mobile phone. That's really good. That's clever. They did it that way. So the site still functions. Everything's accounted for in this aspect ratio. And if I were to look at it as a tablet, that would kind of look something like, a tablet would be kind of like that shape. And you can see again it's been reskinned. Now I've got 2 columns. So it's dynamically changing based on the aspect ratio of the website, and that's important for a couple of reasons. The first one I think is pretty obvious, but let's just cover it. Have you ever been on a mobile site, or excuse me, a website that's not mobile friendly, using your phone before?
You gotta change your phone to
right. Maybe you turn your phone landscape and it works. Ultimately, though, if it's not designed to work on a phone or a tablet, it's a lousy experience, right? Because you're pinching and zooming and panning around. Ultimately, what are you going to do? If the site doesn't work on your phone, you're going to bail, right? You're going to bounce out, actually, is what the term is. You're going to bounce out of the site. So that's one reason why we like these being mobile responsive. The other reason that it's good is that Google is very aware of mobile responsive websites, because Google knows that more and more people are using mobile devices. There's a stat that goes around that they talk about in Ignite and MRA class about the percentage of home buyers that find their next home on the internet. It's like up in the upper 80 percentile, I found my current home on the internet, most people do. But then I heard a follow-up stat that said of that 80%, and the high 90 percentile of that 80% find it, that they're finding it online, but they're finding it on a mobile device online. And I'm thinking, you know what? Actually, the first time I saw my house that I live in today was on my phone. I remember seeing it, And so that's interesting. Google is aware that we're in a mobile world. And so now, if you don't know that Google does this, but Google crawls the entire internet and tries to reach every single web page on the internet and figure out what it's about. Because think about Google's proposition to the world. Google says to the world, we are the most thorough and reliable search engine on the planet. If you want to find something on the internet, you Google it. I mean, their name is turned into a verb.
Is there anything else in
competition?
Oh, there are.
There's
Google?
all kinds of competition out there, but nobody, in my opinion, compares to Google. I am a Google fanboy, but I go to Google.com to find stuff, and most people Google things, right?
Yeah.
You don't Bing it, you don't Yahoo it,
I forgot about those.
right? There's a new one out there, one called DuckDuckGo. Back in the day, I used Alta Vista and Dogpile and stuff, but Google is arguably the reigning champ of search engines. So in order for them to maintain their value proposition, because what happens if you do a search at Google for cars for sale in Atlanta, Google says, yeah, I've got information about that. Here's a list of all the websites that have cars for sale in Atlanta, and what does it do? It ranks them in terms of relevance, right? The most relevant websites on top, and then the next relevant, and then the next. That's a simple explanation of what Google does. In order for Google to do it, it has to crawl every page on the internet. Literally has software that crawls the page and tries to figure out what the web page is about, and then it archives it into its database, and it sets and waits for a consumer to search for keywords that match up something about this website. And it says, yeah, how many houses for sale in Atlanta? Well, here's a bajillion agent websites about houses for sale in Atlanta. So Google has to crawl this page, and as it's figuring out its relevance, it now does a mobile responsive check, and it tests the website. And if the site passes the mobile readiness check, if it passes, it'll actually push your site up higher in the search ranks. If it fails, it'll say this is an old school site, it's old technology. It actually pushes your site lower. Mm-hmm. So it's really very awesome that this is built in to the Placester site, because prior to Placester, and when I say prior to Placester, I'm talking eEdge, right, and eAgency, those sites were not mobile responsive. You can upgrade the e-agency site for $1,500. There's a company that'll upgrade it to make it mobile ready. Or you can do Placester and it's got mobile responsiveness baked in. You know what I mean? That's a great reason for using Placester right there. That's one of my favorite features.
Okay, so if what you were mentioning earlier about getting our own domain so that in case this gets updated years from now, when we get our own domain and we're still here, that domain will automatically, we can just convert it to the new, say like you're not using
Absolutely.
Placester anymore.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You got
That's
it.
pretty- okay.
You've got that. You have an understanding of it. Yep, I can
Alright.
tell by what you're asking.
Good.
So what do y'all think about this site so far and what you're seeing?
That's great.
I think it is good. I'm glad to hear that from y'all. It's a WordPress site, which is good news in my mind because it suggests that as technology evolves and as things happen, it should be able to take updates and evolve with us. Who knows how long it's going to be before KW releases the KW in-house website. Probably will be one of the last things they do in their list of roadmap stuff because this is stable and this works, you know, it's reliable. So let's talk about getting into your site and configuring yours. We know to get into it that we're going to get into it by going into mykw.kw.com, and you should already be there. I'm just reviewing technology and KW websites right there in the black band. I'll take us to this page here. I'll click on go to my website, which brings me to this dashboard. It's a busy dashboard, admittedly, but we're going to get right through it. Everybody should be just on the other side of this dashboard. Hopefully we've all launched our site so we can click on edit site. And hopefully you are right here with me right now. If there's anybody that's lost, let me know because I want to get you right here. Because this is where we're going to be spending the bulk of our day today, the rest of our time. Speaking of time, I do want to say this about time. Here's what I want to do with our time. Your questions to date have been so good. They have been really good questions, but I want to hold off on questions for a little bit while we get through this stuff. So I'm going to be covering a lot of topics. I'm going to cover all this listing material here. We're going to get through these sections. We'll cover the site design. We'll get through all those sections. And believe it or not, by the time I get to the bottom of site design, it'll be pretty much 4 o'clock. It takes us that long to get through it. But as I was going through these different sections, if you have a question, hold off for a minute. Let me get through that section. If I still don't answer it, let's hear it. If it's something good for the class, like they've been good questions for the class today, we may entertain it as a class, or I may say that's more specific, let's get after class and get an appointment. Or the other thing I would tell you is, like I said earlier, I don't leave right at 4 o'clock. I make sure I've got time to hang out. If you're working on your website after the lecture and presentation, I will make myself available, and that might be a place I ask you to hold your question for. And then we will get to the end of this and go sell real estate. Everybody go sell some houses. Sound like a plan?
Yep.
All right, so
Okay, I'm not at that section.
let's take a look. Let's see, go ahead. Let's see what you got. Okay, so this here is the website, and then here is the control panel, and edit sites where you need to go. All right. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work right here in listings. Find the section that says listings. And there you can click on IDX integration. We talked a little bit about IDX integration right here. Click there with me. And what this first slide out has to do with is connecting our website to an MLS database. Our choices are Georgia MLS, First MLS. Yours may say First Multiple Listing Service of Georgia written out. Mine says First MLS. I'm an early adopter, and that's the way it was written when I got my profile. The other option is KWLS. Who's heard of KWLS before? Anybody tell me what's inside of KWLS? What you got?
Just KW listing.
You're right. It's a database of Keller Williams listings, right? So we can connect our website to Georgia MLS, FMLS, or KWLS, which, by the way, by default, mine is connected to KWLS. If you don't set anything, if you just launch your site and roll with it, then your site will be connected to KWLS. Now think about what that means. If your website is connected to KWLS and somebody does a property search, all they're going to see are results from the KW database. They're not going to see competitive listings. So this is something that you definitely want to pay attention to and make sure that we connect to Georgia MLS or FMLS, because that will show not only Keller Williams listings, but our competitive listings. So what we want to do, I'm going to give this lady a moment to join us. You're about to miss a big one. I'm going to hold off for you. Come on in.
Thank you.
And I want you to sit down and click on right here where it says IDX integration. If you're on the same page,
Okay.
just click on IDX integration.
Okay.
And then my suggestion for everybody is to see where it says first MLS, click on use that MLS. What that'll do is that'll tie my website into FMLS. So now when I do a property search or do featured properties that come from FMLS, and then also look at the region, make sure your region here says Georgia. Sometimes you may see nothing, sometimes you may see multiple options. If it doesn't say Georgia, click on edit and then come through and make sure you get a check mark on Georgia.
Okay, now mine don't say the Georgia MLS, it just say the FMLS.
That's fine, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yep. So you can type on use FMLS and then set your region for Georgia, and once you've done that, click on the green button to lock your choices in. And now what you've done is your website should now be connected to FMLS. Moving on down, the next item here under global filters, the next item under IDX integration is global filters. Click through global filters with me and we're just going to make the right choice here. It's divided into 3 tabs. Find the first tab called all listings. Click on all listings and then locate the sentence that says display all listings from my MLS on my website and hit the check mark in front of that.
Okay, I'm still on the IDX integrations, press save.
Yep, press save.
Okay.
And then look right here, right below the IDX integration is global filters. It's the next one down. Click
Okay,
on
so
global filters and that'll bring you to this page that we're on.
Alright, so dismiss and then go to global filters. I'm here.
Dismiss doesn't sound right. Let's see. First unless you got that. And region, yep, hit save.
Okay, that's what I hit.
There you go. Oh, you know what? You've already made that choice, so yes, you can hit dismiss. You didn't make any new choices. Now, click on, when it comes up, you have to click on edit site and get back into it. It bounced you out. All right, and now global filters.
Okay.
Click on the first tab, all listings. There you go, now you're with us.
Okay.
And then click on the sentence that says display all listings from my MLS. What we're doing by making that choice is we're opening the range up for property search. We're saying anything that's an active listing in MLS can now show up as a search result. That's what you want. You want your consumers to narrow the search results. And so you're just going to give a wide open result by clicking display all listings. Once you've done that, hit save. And then we're going to focus on featured listings. We're going to spend a little bit of time here on featured listings. Now, featured listings is the first area in here that as you make changes, you can actually see the changes to your website. So remember, we've got this view live website up here that you can click on to see your website right up here in the top right. So I'm going to click on that now, and I'm going to look and show you that it's this area down here that we're about to edit. We're about to get involved down here with featured properties. We're going to get control over which listings are showing up. I'm wondering if you already see a change on my website, by the way, since I connected to FMLS. Remember, I was on KWS and I connected to FMLS. Do you notice that I'm already starting to see something new here? I got FMLS badging. And remember, I had an $11 million property up here that now I've got actually different listings. Because my website's actually talking to FMLS. So if you see those FMLS badges, serves as good confirmation that your website is truly talking to FMLS. So here's how I'm going to get control over these featured properties. I'm going to come back over here to my Placester tab. I'm finding it up here on my web page. And I'm going to click through where it says featured listings. And the first scenario we're going to talk about is a scenario where you don't have any inventory. You just need to get some listings that match your price point, geography, and niche. So we're going to work with this tool under the filtered listings tab. It's the first tab right here. I'm going to click on that. It should already be clicked. And what we're going to do is work through this tool here, this listing criteria tool, to try and reel things in. Right now I've got nothing set. Right? So if I'm wanting to get the right price and the right geography, maybe I can start with price. I've got a max price value that I can play around with. If I was trying to show listings here in the Brookhaven area, what do you think would be a good max price? I really don't know the market. Like 1.5 million?
Something millions.
1.5 you think? All right, I'm going to put 1.5. So I just put in straight integers. I didn't actually type in the decimal and the comma and the dollar sign. I just put in integers and it pulled up 1.5. So now I'm setting a max price of 1.5. Now theoretically you could keep setting criteria, but what I want to do is I just want to hit search for a minute. And we'll see we've got 39,000 listings that match my one criteria. The only criteria I put in is a max price of 1.5. So I'm actually seeing 39,000 listings across FMLS, which is across Georgia. If I were to save that, and now I want to see my website, I could come in here, click on View Live Site. And by the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, but watch. When I click on View Live Site, look what happens. If I click on View Live Site, it continues to spawn a new tab for my website each time. And that gets kind of confusing. Look how many tabs I have that say welcome to treehousefinder.com. So what I usually do as I'm teaching the class and using this is I rarely continue to hit View Live Site. What I do is I'll just keep one of these tabs open and I'll just refresh the page to see the result of my change. And that's what I'm going to do moving forward. So now I'm going to look at my site and notice my listings again have changed, and you can see that they're showing listings in the $1.5 million range. So I'm getting there, right? I'm starting to reel this in a little bit and dial it in. I feel so sorry for the commercial agent here, but hang in there.
It's okay.
So the next thing I want to do is I want to get my geography narrowed down, because while the price point may be right, you know, I don't want to represent a huge footprint. I want to get something more narrow to where I work, to my territory. So what I'm going to do now is focus my attention back to the Placester control panel. Here it is, this tab. I'm going to click on it so I can get back in there. And I'm going to dig back into my featured listings and continue to define the criteria for my featured listings. Here's the criteria I've already set. The 1.5 million max price is still there. And now what I'm going to do is add some geographical criteria. I'm going to use this add search criteria to pick out some geography. Now there's all kinds of different criteria, location based, property detailed, all kinds of stuff, amenities, but what I'm doing right now is just trying to nail down the geography. So I'm looking for location, and what I'm going to do is, let's do city for now. I could do city, I could do county, I could do state, I could do all kinds of things, street address, subdivisions. We'll play around with that in just a minute, but I'm going to add city for now. Just added it, there it is. Now I've got city as an available criteria. And so watch what happens as I start typing in Sandy Springs. You notice how it starts to auto-populate? Mm-hmm. It's doing that because it's talking to FMLS, right? And so there is a city name in FMLS called Sandy Springs. So as I'm typing it, the autofill, that's not coming from my browser, that's coming from FMLS. It says, oh yeah, we know, there's a Sandy Springs. So as I'm typing it out, there I see it. If I did Alpharetta, it does the same thing, if I could spell right, Alpharetta. When it starts autofilling. Now let me ask you this though, it is a trick question. Should I type in this area? Should I type in Buckhead? It found it. What do you think is going to happen if I put Buckhead in there? Well, there is a Buckhead, Georgia, but it's not here. It's north of here. It's horse territory. Did y'all know that? There's a rural city named Buckhead. There's not, the city here that we call Buckhead is not incorporated as Buckhead. So you got to think of like that, and you realize, you ever try to find a listing for Buckhead in FMLS? You really can't find it unless you're looking for something up north. So what?
Go with zip codes then?
So zip code could work, or you could come in and you could do Brookhaven because they incorporated, right? Brookhaven. Zip codes could work, you're thinking correctly. Neighborhoods could work. A lot of people will say, well, neighborhoods, there's condos in Buckhead. If you were to set it by neighborhood and start typing in the name of condominiums, it would fall under the neighborhoods. Isn't that how FMLS works? It works just like FMLS because it's tied into FMLS, right? So that's what I'm trying to get that point across. So now, if I were to just leave these two criteria, you know what, I'm just going to leave it Brookhaven for now. I'm going to say Brookhaven and 1.5, I'm going to leave those in there. I'm going to do a search. Watch what happens to my number here. I searched, my 39,000 just went down to 391 listings. There are 391 listings that match my criteria of a max price of 1.5 million, and Brookhaven is my city. I'm going to lock that in for a minute and go evaluate the results of my website. So I could hit View Live Site, but I don't like that. I'm going to go up here to my website, and I'm going to refresh it because the information I see now is stale. I've made changes since the last time, so I'm going to hit refresh. And now I'm starting to see listings that are in the geography that I named, Brookhaven, and max price of 1.5 million. How many listings did we see? 391 met that criteria. Remember the number 391? What's happening here is it's showing 4 tiles, but really that list of 391 is pipelined into here. And what's going to happen is, let's say this 3078 Oglethorpe sells, it'll come off my website and the next one on that list will come in and fill that place, right? So it kind of makes a pipeline of inventory that I don't have to maintenance. It's just following my criteria, and it's just going to keep pushing those in, and it's going to populate these 4 tiles. Now you can get control over which tiles or the order of that 391 that these tiles show. Right now, if we take a closer look at my Placester control panel, go back into featured listings, there's a feature called, or a criteria called default sort order, and it says price highest to lowest. Now I can manipulate that. I could come in, I could say, instead of highest to lowest, I could do something like days on the market, days on site by newest, or by oldest to newest. My number is going to stay the same, 391, but I can come in here and save that, and now if I go recycle my page, I should see some variety. Should show listings based on newest on the market. So those are presumably the newest on the market. Kind of interesting. I'll show you another criteria that I really like is featured listings. Come in here and just say sort it instead of days on the site or price highest to lowest. I like this one, total images. Show order it, the sort, I can't talk, the sort is set by total images with the most images first and then descending from there. And that's kind of a cool feature because what it does, since you're building a showcase anyway, is most of the listings that have the most photos usually are pretty nice and make for a pretty good sample. If you're not being very specific, you know, if you're just thinking, hey, I just need something relative to my market. I also like the way that it mixes the price up, so it looks like you've been kind of purposeful in your showcase, you know, because it doesn't just show, oh, I just put a price range in there. So those usually will have more photos because that's the order that we sorted it in. Sometimes people will start defining this and they start getting rentals or land listings and they don't want to show that as your showcase properties, your featured properties. So I just want to point out you can go in here and you can continue to whittle this thing down. You could say, if you go find property type, let's see, they just recently have added a ton of criteria. Some of it works, some of it does not. I've played around with some of it. Let's see, amenities, listing features.
So what's like the best default to use, like
for the sort?
For all, like for all of it.
Minimum, I mean maximum price, and then a hyperlocal geography. It's probably the 2 best things you can do.
So Atlanta.
No, that's a hypo. That's a large. You want to go small.
Oh.
So like a neighborhood would be good.
Oh.
So I was trying to property types. Here we go. So purchase type, I could set that, add that criteria, and look what this does. Now for purchase type, I could come in and say, show me. Oh man, it's broken. There it is. I just kept clicking on it until it worked. That never works, but it did today. I got sale or rental, so I could take the rentals out. Depending on what criteria you got, sometimes you may see a bunch of rentals, so you can clear that up. Tell me your name.
Miss Lima.
Miss Lima?
Mm-hmm.
So Miss Lima has a great question about, borders from good best practices. And when it comes to geography, most experts will tell you that the more you can establish yourself as a local expert, the more localized and hyper-local your focus can be, usually the more successful your web marketing is going to be. And I find a lot of times there's some resistance to that because it's kind of scary to say, well, if I'm going to be, let's say I'm going to be the Sandy Springs condo guy, well, that's putting a lot of faith in the fact that very narrow, tight market, how am I going to put bread on the table? Mm-hmm. And the thing is what you may end up doing is having more than one narrowly focused marketing. So maybe you could be, maybe you think condos is my thing, and you could be the Sandy Springs condo person, the Midtown condo person, and so forth, the Buckhead condo person. So you could diversify some of that a little bit. So don't be turned off by the idea of making things very small and very localized. But think about what we're doing here for a minute. we are getting control over our featured properties, right? Really, we're just trying to get 4 tiles up here. So it's not like you're pigeonholing your business if you go in and say, I'm just gonna narrow this down really small for the sake of my featured properties. Because up here, your property search is wide open, right? It'll search anything, so
Okay.
don't be confused by that. We're just working right here. So you could take that, and you could come in and knock out the city, and we could knock that out too. And I could say location, neighborhood, add that. Can anybody think of a neighborhood that's kind of in that price range in this area? Are y'all familiar with it? Or can y'all think of a neighborhood at all in general? Just spit one out. Oh, come on, don't be shy. Let's see. Buckhead, no Butler, Chastain Lake. Oh, what's the neighborhood? I'm just gonna start typing letters in.
Ashford Park.
Ashford, thank you. Okay. All right. So I'm so not a salesperson. I don't know the area. All right, Ashford Park. Watch this. I can come in here of Ashford Park, and I'll hit search. Look at my numbers. My numbers turn to 46. There's 46 listings that are Ashford Park 1.5 million or below. I could
Okay.
save that, and then I could come over here and recycle my page. And now what's happening is my showcase listings are now all going to be tied into Ashford Park, which is really cool. And what if my web address was ashfordparklistings.com or something like that? I mean, that would be pretty cool if you were to just embody that particular geography. Sometimes people say, you know, I'll ask them, I'll say, what are your marketing territory right now? And they'll say, well, I'm really working in my neighborhood that I live in. That's a real common thing I hear, especially for people starting out. So imagine if you were to go to GoDaddy and you got live in ashfordpark.com, and you set that up as your web address, and then your showcase listings were actually Ashford Park listings, and then you marketed your website and you put flyers and door knockers out that said, hey, just listed in your area down the street. If you ever thought about selling your house, now's the time. You should talk to me. Let me give you a free buyer's consultation or seller's consultation. Go to ashfordparklistings.com for more, and they come to your website and they see you got Ashford Park. You see how I'm trying to build that engagement where it all matches up. That's just one idea of something you could do where you're staging your properties right here. So I think, you know, narrowing it down by neighborhood could definitely help you to get some consistency in your showcase properties. But if neighborhood's too small, you can play around with it and you can try different things. Now, what I think is exciting is they're starting to show up here. Look at these locations, these criteria: elementary school, high school, middle school. Now, the last time I tried, this thing didn't work. I'm gonna try it real quick just to see. This was feedback that we had for Placester, because for the first 2 years, you did not even see these schools listed as a location, and I thought that was crippling to the website, you know. And then all of a sudden, one day I was in the class showing it, and I was talking about neighborhoods, and I clicked there, and it had this full list, and it included schools. And I haven't tried it in a while, so I'm gonna try to do high school. I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna take everything else away, and let's see. Anybody got a high school in the area you can think of?
Chambly.
Chambly. Ooh, I'm not excited. It doesn't look good, you know, because look, as I'm typing it out, it's not auto-filling it. Let me search and see if it gets any. Well, look at that. It found 372 around Chambly. They must have it working. So that's pretty cool to be able to have that. So maybe you could start thinking of some of those other geographies, like Chambly High School. That's pretty cool. Of course, you're not going to see Chambly right here, but when you click on it, hopefully the details would have something about Chambly High School if you're trying to nail down that area. So you can play around with these. We're getting the geography and our price, and in some cases even the niche of our website kind of in the right area. Look at that, middle school's Chambly. That's cool. I'm glad to see that working.
We can pick a couple of locations, is what you were showing earlier, right? You can pick like
Some,
3.
Yep, you can. You can get in there and do a couple locations. So you
Okay.
could come in here and I could have said Chambly, and then let's see if I can get another one in there. Chambly. Oh, you know what? It doesn't look like it's letting me.
Well, I mean for the area. I'm talking
Yeah,
about like
for the
Brookhaven,
city.
Chambly,
Yeah.
Buckhead. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
good.
can. Yep, you sure can.
Okay.
So what I've showed you so far is how to get this dialed in with your geography, your price point, and your niche. I want to switch gears and show you what if you have inventory that's actually yours and you want to get your inventory up there. Do you have a quick question?
Sorry, just real quick. With the hyper-focused geographic sites, how many different Placester sites can we set up? Like different pages? Like,
So technically,
condos or
technically
condos.
there's no limit to the number of sites, but you get one free site. What
Okay.
my understanding is each additional site that you launch is $5 more per month to
Okay.
launch an additional site. There is a feature that we're not going to get into today that I'll mention to you, which is called area pages, which are IDX pages. They're dedicated to different locations, and I actually have an example here. So if you look at these pages here, these are area pages, and if you looked at my, let's say my Jasper page, for example, this is a page that has been specially created, and this is something that'd be good with a one-on-one consultation with you and I, where I've created special content. I've created all this content. That's all my stuff. But then when you get down here, it turns into IDX related information, and it starts showing listings that match the Jasper, because I tuned the page for Jasper. We're not going to get into those details of how I did it, but look what it essentially does. It looks like when you call the page that there's 90, look at that, 90 pages related to Jasper real estate. So when Google crawls this site, it sees that and it says, oh, when it comes to Jasper, this guy's kind of authority on it. Look, he's got 90 pages about Jasper real estate, and that helps your site relevance. So that's as far as I'll go here and tell you, but if you get on my schedule, we can dig into that more.
Great, thank you.
Yep, and I do cover that on the next steps class.
Okay, so my quick question then is, for my area, I'm not able to add the areas for some reason. When I go into area and add.
that may be a functionality that's not working. Like I said,
Okay.
this is brand new. I haven't played with all the settings right there, but like area 51, will it let me? 52, 0 results. Yeah, so I don't think that's live yet. I think they're working on it.
Okay, so none of these are live just
I wouldn't
yet.
say none of them. I would
Okay.
say some of
Some.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there, and it's just you just have to be trial and error right now. It's coming about though. They're evolving the product and they're starting to bring those features online to you. So,
Okay.
all right. So let's switch gears for a minute and talk about if you have specific listings you want to show on your website. We're still going to work under featured listings, just like before. I'm going to go to featured listings, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to move over to this specific listings tab right here, and we're going to work in this tool. So when I click on specific listings, you'll see that we have a similar layout where I've got criteria to specify, just like before. It even carries over the criteria from before. But then if I look at the lower half of the page, we've got some other things to consider. On the left-hand side is a column that is the search results of whatever we form as a query here. So whatever criteria you put in here, you hit search, the results, those 372 will show up on this left-hand column. And then whatever you move from the left-hand column to the right-hand column is what's going to be pinned to your website. So if I were to come in here and remove this criteria, clear all that out, hit search, it should start us over from scratch. Here's what I can do. I can come in here, and if I wanted to show my inventory, if you had a listing you want to show your inventory, then what you can do is you can define a criteria, add search criteria right here, of using your agent ID. It's usually towards the bottom of this list.
Okay.
So I can find it here. Or maybe not. Where did they put it? Agent ID. It's about midway. Find agent ID. It's under this agent office info. And by adding the agent ID, what I'm doing is I'm setting the criteria, here it is, that I can search for listings using my agent ID. If my website is tapped into FMLS, then the agent ID I need is my FMLS username. And in this example, I'm going to use VTeam because I'm not an agent and I don't have an FMLS username, but Lisa Vale does, and she's an agent that has allowed me to use her FMLS ID to demonstrate this to you. And her username at FMLS is VTeam. So that's what I'm going to put in. I'm role playing now as Lisa Vale. I've added the agent ID criteria. I've set the criteria for VTeam, which is her username. Now when I hit search, here's my search results column. I got 12 listings, and these are, I'm recognizing them from showing this before, these are her listings. So if I want these listings to show up on my website, I can just move them over. I can say add all and move them to the right hand side. And now those listings that are moved over to the right hand side are going to show up in the featured properties area. Pay attention to this though. I've got 12 listings that showed up on the left. I got 10 that moved over. This is an interesting little bug, not a bug, but the way the feature works. Check this out. I said add all, right? And it moved them all over. But look what it does. It only shows 10 results per column. If I want to truly show all 12, I got to hit page number 2 and then come back and hit add all one more time to get the remaining 2 to go over. And now I got all 12 over. It's kind of quirky. But now what I've done is I've moved all 12 of Lisa Vale's listings over. I'm going to hit save and go look at my website. I'm going to recycle the page. Here it comes. And now what I should see in the featured listings are Lisa Vale's, and I do recognize those are Lisa Vale's. How many listings did we see that matched the V-team criteria? There were 12, right? So those 12 are now pipelined into these tiles, and it's showing the first 4 of those 12 based on my sort order. I can't remember what my sort order is. Maybe, I think I've still got it set for the most photos. Right, so if I didn't like that, I could come in and I could say, instead of most photos, let's see what my sort order is. Default sort order, oh, it is price highest to lowest. So I can still manipulate my sort order. I could come in and say, hey, show me the one with the most images first. Save that. And it would reorganize. So now those 12 are going to get reshuffled, and it's going to show the first 4 with the most photos first. There they are. And then the remaining balance somewhere over here. And if one of these goes off the market, that this 1956 Grove Field goes off the market, the next one will come into my list. Right? Start showing up. Y'all with me on that?
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. Now, I showed you an example of using an agent ID that has 12 listings. What if you don't have 12 listings? What if you only have 1 or 2 listings? If I come back over here to featured listings, let's try to work this again. I'm going to remove all, and I'm going to remove the V-team, and I'm going to put, let's do Phyllis Simone. I believe she maybe has a couple. There you go. She's got 2 listings. So if I do Phyllis Simone, right there, she's got 2 listings. If I add those over, oops, add all, and then save, now go look at my website. There's the 2 listings she has. Now, if you're like me, this sort of thing drives me crazy. I'm a very asymmetrical person, right? And that drives me nuts that those are off to the left and I've got these 2 blanks. I know about them. You know, a simple fix, if they would have just centered it, I think I'd have been okay with it. I would have solved it. I would have been like, no problem. But it drives me crazy. And it may drive you crazy too. You may say, or if you're like me, you're like, but I know I could fit 2 more in here. What could I add? So let me show you for a minute this example where I've got 2 listings. I've got a $625,000 and a $425,000 listing, and these are in, where's that, Marietta and Atlanta. So I could add to those. Watch this. I picked Phyllis's listings, there they are. And let's pretend like I'm Phyllis and I've got 2 listings, but I want to fill out my showcase. I could go back to featured listings, and if I'm role playing as Phyllis Simone, which fetched 2 listings, then that means I am done using agent ID Phyllis Simone because it only gets us 2, and I'm trying to fill it out. So I'm going to remove that. And I could come back and work with my criteria. I could come in here, I could say, show me houses with a price, max price. I'll add that and put in, I'm going to put, let's take a look at those listings for a second. She's got 425. I'm purposely looking at the lowest price, the 425. I'm going to set my max price below this price here. So 425, I'm going to put in 424. I'll make sense of that in a minute. I just typed it, 424. And then I'm also going to go ahead and get this in Marietta just so it kind of matches up with my other inventory. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to. Let's see, city is, there it is. And she's an East Cobb agent. That falls in the same category as Buckhead. You can't go find East Cobb in FMLS. Kind of frustrating. So she's going to put Marietta. I'm going to put Marietta. All right. I'm gonna search that. And look, I got 1,133 listings that match my criteria. Notice Phyllis's two are still pinned right there. They're undisturbed. So now I can do it as simple as I could come in here and I could say, well, I'm just gonna add more. I can just double click on that. Now I got my 4.
Okay.
I could do that. Save. Refresh the page. And it should amend my showcase. Now remember, my default sort order is set highest to lowest. These two are mine, right? And 425 is my lowest price, so I strategically made my descending list no higher than the 425. So that's how I got this. I don't know why that's 230 and then 325 though. That seems odd. Let me go look at my sort order real quick, make sure I've got what I think I've got. Sort order, featured list. It's total images. I'm gonna go back here, price highest to lowest. I'm gonna show you why that's significant. By setting my sort order highest to lowest, I've got my 2 listings, 625 and 425 there, and then I got the dynamic listings that I put in there in descending order. These 2 are right here. I put those 2 in. If this sells, it goes off the market, it makes a blank, right? Because I didn't schedule anything else to go in there. So watch what I could do. Because every new listing is less than 425, I could come in here now and I could say, you know what? Add all of those. And I could get several pages of it. Go to page 2, add all. Look at my numbers. They're increasing 22. Go to add page 3, add all. Now I'm at 27. I could get up to 40 or 50 listings in there. Add all, 37. Page 5, add all. It's a ridiculous routine. I got to do that. It drives me nuts. Page 6, add all. Now I got about 50 listings in there. I'm going to save that. I put 50 listings I added in there, but look, when I recycle the page, by default order, highest to lowest is protecting my 2 listings on keeping them over here, and this from here on down is dynamic. So now if that sells and goes off the market, I got 40 something listings that are coming in and filling that space.
Okay.
So I don't have to keep watching that all the time, right? And meanwhile, my 2 listings are totally safe up there in the front.
But that's only if we have personal listings, we would use this feature.
Not necessarily. You could come in here and you could say featured listings, and you could specify listings by a range of criteria. Look at this. It doesn't have to be your own. I could come in here and I could say add search criteria. I could come in here and I could choose any one of these things. I could come in and I could say an agent's name. I could do office ID.
Okay.
I could add office ID. That's going to call for the broker code here. What is that? It's KW PR01.
Yep.
Right? If I search that criteria, 371 listings, I can add those all in there. And now it's showing office listings. Of course, it's just showing those 59. If I was going to do that, then I think I would step out of specific listings and go to the filtered listings and just create a straight up pipeline. Just clear all that out. Select criteria and then go into agent office ID, excuse me, add. There it is, KW PR01. Now I'm just adding a list that never stops. That just is a constant feed. Now that'll show all Peachtree Road listings in highest to lowest fashion. And it'll just keep a supply of listings in there, which is kind of cool because it's going to match my geography and sort of what's going on with the market. Somebody pointed out to me it's actually really cool for your market center. You're promoting within, that's really a good thing.
Not just that, but I mean, if it's 2 KWPR agents on the same deal, then you only have to pay the 1 FMLS fee, so you save a couple $100.
Think about that. If I was giving out T-shirts, buddy, you would have just gotten a T-shirt, man. That is awesome. 1 fee. That is a really good point. Excellent point. All right, so featured properties, as you can tell, is soaking up some time. It always does. We're still on time for today's content, but I'm going to end it right here for now. I'm going to encourage you to play around with your featured properties, and if you're having trouble, get with me after class or get with me in a consult. If you want to leave here with your featured property set up correctly and you can't get it, then I'm not going to leave right at 4 o'clock. I'll be here available to you. Or if you're confused about it later, because what will happen is you might have no listings now, and then in 2 weeks you get listings, and you're like, now how did he combine them? Perfect example, getting on my schedule, asking me to help you get your listings set up. If you're a commercial agent, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, we have some in here, so I don't know if they're in. Yeah, we'll talk later.
The one thing I would say about commercial agent is if you go in here to your search criteria, there should be a criteria for property type. Let's see, that's location, property details, property class type. There we go. If I add that, then you may be able to come in here. What did we learn last time? Keep clicking on it, see if it works. Oh, come on. Let's see if we get it. We'll try one more time. Property type, property details, property type. Add. Oh, give me a break. It should say, when this pull down comes down, residential detached, residential attached, single family, and I think I've seen the word commercial in there. So you could tap commercial, I think. If that blank is working, man, this area is just kind of buggy right now. They are definitely working on that and trying to get it to function. So I've showed you how to get your featured listings in there if you've got your own inventory, or if you don't have inventory and you want to specify by geography and price. That is everything about listings I want to show you for now. Do anybody have any follow-up questions before we change gears and move into another topic?
Well, that's the point I wanted to make earlier about you went first into the featured listings and showed us how to do that. I get that, just to kind of have your page look professionally legit. But as a new agent, that specific listing won't apply to me just yet until I get listings. I guess that was my.
No, you could specify office listings, you could specify.
Okay, I can specify, okay.
Yeah, you could be very specific.
Even though I don't have my own listings.
Even though you don't have your own.
Okay,
You could go in and one last thing I'll show you. You could go in and choose this criteria right here. This may be the light bulb that goes off. Look at this, MLS ID. You could add that, and now you could be looking at FMLS and find listings that you want to feature on your website and get the MLS ID number and plug it in.
Okay, just
and
to make it look nice.
Just to make it look exactly the way you want. You're just setting up your shop and setting up your storefront window is what you're doing.
Exactly. Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you're trying to connect the dots here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Because I like to be told like what to do, but I like to also know why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Sure.
Because obviously it won't make sense no other way.
You got to internalize it.
I got to internalize. Yeah. All right.
Next question for you: who's ready to move on? Me too.
Okay.
I think that's the driest part of what we got to talk about today. I like site design much more. It's a little bit more fun. So I'm going to click on theme selection under site design, and this is going to get us to a point where we can start looking at our different themes. There are 8 different themes by default that you can pick from. Currently I'm on the Madison. It's the default that everybody starts out with. If you've not chosen a theme, you'll be on the Madison to begin with. It is, you can browse through this little left and right arrow here. You can flip through and see the next one is Madison Metro. It's very similar to the Madison. I actually asked them, can you explain to me the differences? They said it's very, very subtle, is what they told me at convention. I said, could you be more specific? And they said, well, some of the font treatment's a little bit different. Some of the positioning of some of the fonts and elements are a little bit different than the Madison. But the Madison and Madison Metro are similar. This is a little bit more elegant version. I guess we'll give them that. If I continue flipping through, you can see here's another one called the Plymouth. It's very popular. A lot of folks step out of the Madison and go to the Plymouth. You can just browse through the different template layouts. And there are 8. If you are a commercial agent, and the commercial agent is not here at the moment. If you're a luxury agent, I'll say that, maybe she'll come back. If you're a luxury agent, you'll get a 9th template that shows up, which is a luxury template. Now, in order to be a luxury agent, you have to have luxury designation on your agent profile in the Winmore system. Most notably, the luxury template is the black template. Everybody asks me a lot of times, oh, how do you get the black template? I like the black headline. And the only way you can get the black one is that's the luxury template. So you got to have luxury designation. The Madison does feature the colored banner, but black's not one of the color palettes. You can see here's the different color themes right here. And so sometimes people get kind of like, oh, I want to use the black one. If you look at KC Living 365, .com. This is an agent that actually is in Kansas that watched my video and created her site. I was so flattered. She's like, yeah, I went to your website and watched how you did it and created my, oh, wait a minute. She's moved off of Placester. I tell you what, I just showed this the other day. Wait a minute. Is she can leave Keller Williams?
Looks like it.
I'm going to have to delete this segment of our video recording today. Wow, I can't believe that, Dawn.
Oh no,
I don't know.
I'm on KC Living 365. It still shows the Keller Williams Luxury International.
Oh, look, that says Atlanta Living 365. Something redirected. KC Living. Are you at KC Living?
KCLiving365.com.
And does it look like this?
Nope.
Or is it different?
No, it's the.
Yeah, it's the
exactly
luxury
the
site.
link you were talking about.
That's the one I'm looking for. KC Living 365.com. Sorry, Don, I'm not going to delete this side of the video. And mine keeps redirecting.
Oh. So I typed it. All I did was type in KC Living 365 and then hit enter, and then it went to Google, and then I just clicked on the first link.
She must have some URL redirecting going on. So KC Living, and she's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that's actually at the moment on a Placester site for luxury. There it is. I don't know why I have so much trouble, but that is what the luxury template looks like. It's very similar to Madison. It's got the black banner. You'll get that as a luxury agent. It's got nice show to it. You can see this, of course, the slider sliding through. She's using the slider, whereas I just have a single page.
Oh, do all of us get the slider?
Yep, you do. We're going to talk about that next.
Oh, okay.
And then if you're a luxury agent, you get another template would show up for luxury agents. If you have a luxury designation, I don't have an example in front of me, but you do get an additional template for luxury folks. As we flip through here, I'll show you for Plymouth. Plymouth is a very popular alternative. Here's some examples. If you look at mysmyrnarealtor.com, this is Christina Zerker out of Cityside. This is the Plymouth template. It's quite different than the Madison. It's a little bit grander, I think.
It looks nice.
I think this looks really nice.
And she's not a luxury.
She's not luxury, but it has a luxury feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the big differences between Plymouth, she's also using the slider, you know, but the property search, notice there's no property search in the middle of the banner. This property search has been moved down below.
Yeah.
And so some people say, hey, you know what, I like that because I don't want the property search in the middle of my beautiful picture. One of the drawbacks, though, for the Plymouth site is that your headshot, let this one pass for a second, don't look at that one, but your headshot, you can stop it too, there's a little menu.
I like the headshot ordeal.
The headshot is not up here. The official position of the headshot is way down here. That's where the headshot shows up on Plymouth, and that falls under a lot of criticism. People say, hey, it's way down there. And so what Christina did was she got clever and she created a custom screenshot, a custom slideshow. We're going to talk about slideshows in a minute, but this is a custom slide. What she did is she took a picture. I asked her, I was like, hey, where'd you come up with this? She said, I took a picture of the patio of a listing, that's what's on the left. And then she took some clip art that said Home Sweet Home, and using third-party software like Photoshop or GIMP or Photo Editor, she combined those two images. And it made a seam down the middle that she concealed with a very tightly cropped headshot that she planted on top of that. And then she put the Keller Williams Cityside logo, the clear PNG file, which we're going to talk about that today. She put that in there, and she composed all that and then made it one image and then uploaded it as a single slide in her slideshow. And I think that's one of the most clever slides I've seen on anybody's webpage. That is brilliant use. And she solved the issue that the headshot is defaulted down here. I mean, that is such a warm welcoming on her site. So that was really good use of the Plymouth site, I think. I really like that one. I think she was very clever. Another one is Bunch Real Estate, Michael Bunch's site.
So if we wanted to do something similar to what Christine is doing, we have to hire an outside party to do that?
If you've got the skill set to do it, you could. But if you don't, then you're going to be having to talk to somebody who can play around with photos. Yep, you're right.
Okay.
realestate.com. Let's see. So that's our old E-Edge site. What did he do there? Come on, Michael Bunch. Let's see if I Google him. Maybe I've got his address wrong in my head. That's a perfect example of where we've got old sites that are still live. So Michael Bunch has a good use. Oh, it's not real estate team, it's real estate group. So this is the Placester site using the Plymouth where he just put a single image in there. And I like that. I'm a big fan of the single image. So you've got your search down here below, and he's got this stoic single image up here. I think it works very well for his website. Plymouth's a real popular alternative. If you want to use the Plymouth, you would just come over here to Placester to your control panel and browse through. See, I'm on Madison right here. I would just come over here to the Plymouth, and then I can make a couple choices for color. These are broad strokes, so right now the Plymouth is default, but if I wanted to make it in green highlights, if I chose green, now the lettering is in green and the highlights are in green. The button just became green. If I turn it to yellow, you can see it moves it to yellow. So you can't be specific about your color choices, but you can go in and I'm gonna do gray. I'm gonna save that, and then I'm gonna come look at my website. Here it is as Plymouth, as Madison. I'm gonna recycle the page, and it should come back as Plymouth with gray highlights. Come on, site. Is it reloading? It should be. I want to tap dance here for a minute. Let's see. It should be instant. Let me recycle it one more time. What is the deal? I'm gonna be real embarrassed if we lost internet being a tech guy.
Don't be. We understand.
Speed test.
Yeah, mine's still loading too.
I'll send everybody home. Yeah, look at that, man. We're nailing the speed. We're on a 100 megabit connection, and after all the overhead, we're getting 75. I'll take it. That's a good score. So that might be a Placester issue right there. You got yours? Let me load mine again. Hopefully it comes up as Placester now. Let's see. I mean, it's Plymouth. There it is. So now treehousefinder.com is coming up as Plymouth, and now my property search is not in the middle of my image. It just changes the whole character. So that's really fun to play around with. But you got to deal with the image being below. Notice my featured listings. Remember on Madison, how many did I have?
4.
And now how many do I have?
6.
Yeah, even more than that. I got 9.
Oh, wow.
So one thing to point out is that while all the templates have pretty much the same features, they may handle the features differently, right? So Madison's got 4 horizontal feature properties, whereas this one has 9 tile. There's one in there that's got 12. I forget which one it is. So they all kind of vary up a little bit. Oh, this one might have 12. Was that 12? 1, 2, 3, no, it's 9. All right, so we got 9 on there.
Okay, so this is the Madison example.
This
Madison
is
Metro.
this is the Plymouth.
Oh, this is Plymouth.
Mhm.
Can you show me what Madison Metro looks like on real time? I kind of like it.
So now I'm gonna put myself on Madison Metro. I'll do it in, let's do it in orange. So if I come over and recycle my page, then it should rebuild the Plymouth and it should come back in orange, Madison Metro in orange. Looks very much like the Madison, very similar. The thing about Madison and Madison Metro, Placester said, well, part of the deal with Keller Williams is they were contracted to build 2 specific Keller Williams templates, and that's the Madison and Madison Metro. If you go buy a retail edition of Placester, you can get the Plymouth and the Toronto or whatever those other ones are, but you can't get any of the Madisons unless you're a KW agent, right? So these are KW specific. And I just think that they just kind of put together 2 templates here, Madison and Madison Metro. There's not a lot of difference between the 2 other than the fact that they are the official KW templates. Now one thing that's interesting is the Madisons are the only ones that feature a colorized banner. Here I've got it in red, or you can take the full colored banner out. I can hit this check mark here and go to a white banner, and that's unique to the Madisons. Let's do it in green. So if I were to change this to green, now this preview here, it's gonna always stay red, but up here it'll change. Now it's in, see, the green. So if I change that to gray, there you go. If I change that to green, There you go. And if I commit that and then go look at the page, we should see Madison Metro turn into Madison. Tell me if you can see any differences. Not really. It's very, very similar. Whoops. I accidentally closed my page out. Let's see if we can open up our previous history. Recently closed. Do that one. And I guess I gotta log back into KW. My mouse accidentally clicked on the close button. There we go. KW websites. Go to my website. By the way, as I'm going in here, sometimes people call me and say, I cannot get into my Placester site. And I find out they're going to Placester.com and trying to log in. Just so you know, you can't get to it by going to Placester.com. You got to go to KW and work your way through the dashboard like I am. It's the only way you can get in there. So here we go. There it is in green, the Madison. All right. I can go in here and I can play around with that a little bit and see different results. The only ones that offer the full colored banner. I'm going to go ahead and change mine real quick back to, I'm just going to leave it like it is for now, and we're going to move on. But you can play around with those different theme selections. Madison does offer this one thing here called statement. And I'll show you an example of what it looks like. Here it is. This is a statement. I don't recommend the statement, and I'm going to show you why by putting a statement in. And it's just about how it looks. Check this out. I come over here now and cycle the page. There's my statement right there. And it tends to get lost in the image. Can you see how it just doesn't really hold? There's nothing you can do about the font. You can't change the height or the color or any of that. So I think if you're trying to write something across your page, you're better to use a caption instead of a statement. And we're going to talk about captions in just a minute. So I usually take the statement out altogether and just don't even mess with it. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Theme selection, back to Madison. And I'm just going to put in a space there for my statement and save it so it'll go away. All right, so you can play around with different themes, play around with the different color palettes, find one you like, you can change it at any time. If you want to get control over the images in your theme though, the slideshow, that's the next topic here, slideshow. Click through slideshow with me, and here's where we can get in and start playing around with our slideshows. Now, if you are looking at your slideshow control panel compared to mine, mine starts out with one called Treehouse V3. Because I've been in here playing around and modifying stuff, you're not going to see one called Treehouse V3. What you're going to see, the first one you're going to see is interiors. And this is the first of the built-in slideshows. There's 5 slides in this interior slideshow. You can thumb through them. You can see the different images and get an idea what the slideshows are going to look like. And then there's one called Variety. Now Variety is the default slideshow. So if you launched your site in default mode, you launch with Madison with a red banner, and Variety becomes your slideshow. You can flip through and you may recognize some of those slides if you're comparing that to your default site now. And they continue on with luxury properties. Here's 5 slides that deal with luxury. It's hard to see the screen driving over here. There's that previous image. That was one of Christina Zerker's images right there, by the way, that she used. She customized the luxury property slideshow on hers. Looks pretty good. Mid-priced homes. You might recognize that image from the Plymouth right there. Plymouth uses that image as its default. So you can go through and you can pick a slideshow that you might like. And there's the nature slideshow. Don't really know how that would relate to real estate for Atlanta, but if you can make that work, then you're doing pretty good. I'm going to come up here and put myself on the Variety, since that is the default slideshow and the one that you're probably working with. Watch this. As I select this slideshow, it brings me into an additional page where on this page I can evaluate each slide on a one-on-one basis. So I can look at these slides and I can modify them. I can come in here and here's the caption. The caption is positioned in the bottom left-hand corner right here of the page. And what it'll do is it usually has a black band or some sort of coloring behind it so it really shows up. Unlike the statement that I criticized earlier, I would say the caption actually produces pretty well. So if you want to get some writing on your photo, I would use the caption feature. You can add a link to it if you want to make this clickable. We'll talk about that in a minute. So you can go through and you can look at all these images here and you can say, yeah, I'm good with all these. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to save that. And if I go look at my website, Whoops, I need to go live site because I closed it all, I think. Now I should be seeing Madison in green with the variety slideshow, and it should be a slider. It should be sliding. There it goes. So my website's starting to come back a little bit more to the default setup.
Why is that bar in the slash?
That's characteristic of the template. That's the idea. That's the property search.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to know what relevancy you had for the bar scene, the social.
Oh,
scene,
the bar. I thought you
commercial-
meant this bar right
no,
here.
No, the commercial bar
Oh,
scene.
yeah, the bar scene.
Yeah, is that like a commercial property?
Right
you're
there.
saying? Yeah.
It's
not relevant.
it's yeah, it's supposed to be a local expert
Oh.
theme, so
Oh,
it's
gotcha.
like you're in the pub, you know.
Oh, okay.
Besides, most contracts are written at a bar. Did you know that? That's a pro tip. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know that.
Interesting.
I'm
So if
just
we
being
wanted
silly.
to delete some, if we wanted to like edit some of the slideshow.
I'm about to
theme-
show you that. Hang on to your question, okay? Because that's
Okay.
exactly what I want to show you next.
Okay.
So if I'm looking through here, and like you said, you didn't like the bar show, the bar slide. I don't like this slide because it doesn't have anything to do with real estate, right?
Yeah, unless it's by a beach.
Unless you're by a beach, and I mean, I've never been to the beach around here, so
Me
you know what I
neither.
mean.
Yeah.
So if I was, to your point, if I'm looking at this and going, okay, I don't like this image, I can take control of it. I can go back to my control panel, go into my slideshow. Now, to figure out which slideshow is in use, look for the blue circle and a white check. Ah, there it is. Blue circle and a white check. Sometimes it gets confusing to know which slideshow you got going on. So look for the blue circle and a white check, and you know, oh, okay, I'm working with this one here. I'll hit select, and now what I can do is I can come in and I can evaluate each of these images. And if I didn't like the beach shot, I could delete it. Just like that, right? If you didn't like the bar scene, you could delete it. And now that leaves me with an option where I've deleted slide 4, creating a vacuum here, a vacancy. What am I going to do with it? I could, choice A is I could come on down here and save my composition, or save my website, and turn my 5-slide slideshow into a 4-slide slideshow. Watch this, these 5 dots down here, just turned into 4 dots. There they are. And nobody even knows, right? So I've taken the image I didn't like, I've taken it out, and I'm just settling for 4 slides. Totally fine. That's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is you can replace that image. I could come over here back to my control panel and go into the slideshow. And I could come in and I could say, I want to make a change. Before I show you that change, though, I want to show you something else. Look at this. Common question I get. People say, hey, I deleted the beach scene, but now I've decided I want it back. Can I get it back out of the default? Check this out. Look for the blue circle, the white check to know which slideshow is in use. There it is, blue circle, white check. So the variety, not the variety, but the variety custom is in use with 4 slides. Take a look down here, past variety custom. Look at that. The original variety is still intact with 5 slides. So the takeaway here is if you modify anything that's built in, it spawns a custom version. And it leaves the original intact. So you can always go back and invoke the original and get rid of the one that you customized. So here's the one that's in use. It's the 4-slide version of variety, and they updated the name for custom. There's my blue circle, the white check, so I know that's what it is. So I'm going to hit select, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to work with this a little bit. I'm going to come in, I'm going to say, well, I've got this deficit here. I've got this vacuum of slide 5. They just moved the blank down here. What can I do about that? I could add a new image. I could upload a replacement image, right? So here's a couple things about uploading an image. The most important thing about uploading an image. What do you think the most important thing is about uploading an image? I know you know. What is it?
Making sure that the what's it called? The dimensions are correct.
That would have been my answer a year ago. Yes, make sure the dimensions are correct. But I found one that's more important.
Making sure that we have permission to
That's
use
the
that
answer.
image.
Yep. Yeah. So from the technical answer, yes. Dimensions. From the keeping yourself out of trouble department, yes, you got it right. Making sure you have permission. And I want to share a story with y'all real quick. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I want y'all to hear this story to try and underscore the importance of it. So here's my story. This is what happened to me. I was teaching this class the first year the sites came out, and I gotten through the material towards the end of the class. I said, any questions? And somebody somebody said, yeah, you didn't cover the blog section, and we're not going to cover blogs. That's not part of the setup. That's part of the content. But the question was asked, and it's in the class, and I said, well, sure. And they said, will you show us how to do a blog post? And I said, I will. So being that my website was all about tree houses, I went to Pete Nelson's blog. You know Pete Nelson, the Treehouse Master show? You ever seen that show? It's amazing. If you ever get a chance to watch Treehouse Masters, they build luxury tree houses. I mean, people live in them. They're better than some houses people live in. You know, it's amazing. So he's one of my heroes. And I went to Pete Nelson's blog, and just for the sake of class, real quick, I copied a couple paragraphs from his blog, and I copied an image, and I said, okay, I've got all the parts. Now watch, everybody, as I put this post together. And I created a blog post using the image and the copy text that I grabbed. And everybody applauded me. I took a bow, I did my blog post, and I walked out, right? And that was it. So fast forward 6 months later, I get a phone call from the First Atlanta office, and they said, hey, you got a stack of mail over here. Do you want us to read it? And I was like, who's it from? Because I never get mail at the offices, really. And they said, it's from a company called Getty Images. And I was like, oh boy. I already kind of knew, you know. I was like, yeah, go ahead. And they start reading the letters. And it started out with cease and desist. It turned into demand letters. It turned into legal action. And then finally they were demanding $1,600 for an image that I had used.
Getty's like, no,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
I had no idea. I was like, oh my goodness, you know. So it was devastating because I wasn't being, what's the word? I wasn't doing it on purpose. You know what I mean? It was an accident. It really was. I mean, I knew not to post other people's stuff, but I was just doing it for a second. You know, but anyway, I'd forgotten it on my site. And it's a very condemning letter. They photograph your website, and then they show the serial number for the photo, the date and the time that they photographed your site. And it's very, you know, official-like. So anyway, I had to call my boss, Jean Rawls, and talk to her about what was going on. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, let me call them and talk to them and see what I can come up with. I called Getty Images, and I did not tell them I was the director of technology at all. I just said, hey, I'm a guy who works for this company. He's got to teach this class. I made a mistake, you know, and so forth. The guy said, well, what can I do for you today? What do you want? And I said, I thought, I'm going to be bold. I said, can I just get forgiveness for this? Can amnesty is what I'm after, is what I told him, literally. And he said, well, let me get back to you. The next day he calls and he says, good news, we're going to reduce your fine by 50%. And I was excited at first till I realized that half of 1,600 is still 800. And after it was all done with, it was really almost 900.
So it's
like,
because
wow.
you ignored the first couple of letters, maybe.
I think the fines did increase, yes,
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah. So in other words, if you would have answered the first letter, you probably wouldn't even got a fine at all.
No, there was a fine.
Oh, there was an initial
yes.
fine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was an initial fine, and it was close to $1,000.
Okay.
So it was serious, you know, at the
Business.
get-go. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it got worse, I think, because I didn't even
Act
know
on it.
respond.
Yeah.
Fortunately, though, I work for a company that believes in their people, and Jean Rawls believes in failing forward, and she said, look, we're just going to write a check. It's cost of doing business.
Oh, wow.
We're going to take care of that for you. But she said, tell me, though, how is this going to be prevented in the future? How is this going to work its way into your curriculum? And I said, I think a public service announcement in every single class. And so you've been publicly service announced. There you go. I hope, though, that you laugh at the story, but I hope you remember it, because it was an honest mistake, you know. And in fact, after that, I still got hit for my Trump photo, and I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I had cleaned all this stuff up, you know, and I still got hit. So let me just say this: if you think that you're hearing my story and you're like, maybe I've got some photos that I shouldn't have up, and I'm not really sure about it, if you want to just shut your site down for a minute until you can clear all that up, check it out. If you go up to the very top to sites, and then I've got 2 sites. I've got Welcome to Treehouse Finder, this one we're working on right now. This is another class. You can go over here to your sites list and look, I can go and disable that. If I disable that, then that website just went dark. It's offline, and that gives me a chance to go through my website, get all my photos figured out, and then when you're ready again, you can come back and launch the site. So if you're panicking about it and you just want to make sure your site's offline until you figure out your photo situation, you can disable it. And nobody can get to it, including the bad guys. Meanwhile, let me share a resource with you or two that you can get some photos from. If you're looking for photos, one site that I like is Pixabay.com. I've used this site This is where this is where I get my images for treehousefinder.com at my current Placester site, and marketing materials and training materials. So Pixabay, stunning free images. They seem to be pretty legit. I haven't had any problems with them. I can come in here and I can say, for an example, Atlanta skyline. Any idea why I choose that as an example?
Yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest offenses I see. Everybody wants to get a skyline, it seems like, in their Placester site. So I'll use that as an example today. Now the very top row, all those super awesome photos are sponsored. It's hard to see, it's washed out on the screen, but on my screen I can see where it says sponsored images, and guess who sponsors those? Getty Images. So if you click through some of those, mostly they're Getty, so you'd end up paying for those. But below that, all these are up for grabs. These are free images you can just use, which is awesome. So as you're browsing through and looking at images that might work, keep in mind what we're trying to do. We're trying to fill a space here that looks like this rectangle, right? It's width and it's height. In fact, if you're taking notes, the optimal width is 1600 and the optimal height is 660 pixels. So if you want to get a perfect fit, look for 1600 or crop to 1600 by 660. If you just want to rough it in, if you're looking at a page like this, I would say this image dimensionally works better than this image, because look, it's already characteristic of the shape I'm trying to fill in. It's a rectangle versus this is a square. So what will happen here, if I upload that into my Placester site, it's going to crop a rectangle straight out of the middle there. It's going to look ugly. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is going to use most of the image and it'll fit it in there. Okay. So just to get a rough one in there, you can kind of look for the shape. So let's look. I want to find one. I think I'm kind of stuck with these nighttime videos. I'm going to use this one today. I'm going to hit, no, I think I'm going to hit that one. So I'm going to click on that, and it brings me to a free download area where I can come over here and hit free download. And it gives me some choices for size. I've told you that 1600 by 660 is the ideal size. I've got choices of 640 by 427, 1280 by 854, 1920 by 1281, and then a whopping 6016 by 4016. So when it comes to sizes of images, have you ever loaded an image into something that was a small image, then you forced it into a bigger footprint on a website or something? Yeah. What happens?
It kind of gets
grainy.
Yeah, pixelates, gets
yeah.
distorted, it's ugly. Have you ever loaded an image bigger than the intended footprint where it shrinks it? It doesn't hurt it at all. You don't lose any of the quality, right? It stays the same. So when you're trying to figure out the size, if you know that 1600 by 660 is the optimal size, then look for a size that's outside of that range in the larger capacity. So 1280 by 854 is close, but 1920 by 1281 is going to probably be better. You'll end up getting some cropping for sure, and the system's going to auto crop it. So there's no way to really judge where it's going to crop. If you want ultimate control of the cropping, you're going to have to modify this outside of Placester. Use imaging software. If you're on a Mac, use Preview. Super simple. It's a wonderful tool. If you're on PC and you're looking for a free tool, I love GIMP. G-I-M-P stands for Graphic Image Manipulation Program. GIMP is pretty good. You can resize stuff. It's a free download. So here we go. I'm going to download the 1920 by 1281. I'm going to hit download. I'm in Chrome, so it's going to put my, got to prove I'm not a robot. I actually am a robot, but I'm going to trick it. There we go. That was a joke, y'all. Come on. And it should download. Did it start my download? It should have started my download. Oh, there it goes. In the bottom left corner. It's below the edge of the screen. You can't see. But in Chrome, the download starts in the bottom left-hand corner of the page. I'll break it out so you can see it. So there's my download right there happening. And I'm going to click on it. And notice I didn't have to log in. I didn't have to give a username or any information. It gave me a free download, free to use, which is super awesome. So if I wanted to use that image, I could go back to my Placester control panel, go into slideshow, and we're working with, which one is it? The blue circle, the white check, there it is, variety custom specifically. Select that and go find my vacancy. Go upload. And where did that picture go to? Desktop old files? How about download? Let's see. Let's put it in detail view and order it up by most recent image. 10/28/2013. They put it on the desktop.
You went to most recent? Maybe it's up
I'm
there.
trying to figure out where my download went to. You know what I can do in Chrome? It's funny, I'm over here struggling. Where's my downloads? There we go. Let's see if I can get it. Show in folder. What folder did they put that in? I'm just looking to see where my download went to. It went to my downloads folder. There it is, right there. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Here we go. I had to just get my bearing for a minute, so I'm going to say upload, and I'm going to search my downloads folder. I guess that's it. Yeah, it was. And I can put a caption on it. I just made that up, actually.
Look at you.
Still Hotlanta, even after dark. All right, and I could save it. Now I go check it out. I'm gonna recycle the page, and I should see my 4 dots turn into 5 dots. So immediately I'll know, there they are, yep. And I'll let this cycle through and let's see how that image looks. I guess it's gonna be number 5. Here we go. Okay, not too bad. I can go back and hit that 5th dot just to take a closer look at it if I want to. There we go. I'll take a look. Maybe I can come over here and play around this and go theme selection, Plymouth, right? And maybe I'll put it in gray. And maybe that's enough. Let's go look at it now. That may look totally cool. Let's see. Just goofing around with it. Go to my 5th slide here. You know, it's all right. I don't like the fact it cut that top of that building off, though. I don't like that because it's important to have that. So in a case where I was really using this image, I would probably have cropped that outside of Placester instead of letting the auto crop get it, and maybe moved it in. On different screens, though, let's see if I zoom in. Interesting how zooming in, you can see different parts of the image. But most people are going to browse at 100%, not at 200, where they can see the top of that image. So with that in mind, I'd probably crop it outside somewhere. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. And you can see how my website's sort of changing, starting to get some character to it. I could come in here and modify this. I could say, here's the one I'm working on. I could come in here and say select. Maybe I don't want all these sliders. Look at this. I could delete all these extra slides, get rid of them all, and just leave my screenshot there. Maybe I come in here and rename it. Instead of variety, maybe I call it ATL Skyline. See how I'm just taking control of things there? And save it. Now I've got my own custom slideshow called Atlanta Skyline. It's a single slide slideshow. So that instead of seeing all those sliders, now it'll just have that, it'll just hold on that image. Still has the cropping problem, but you can see how I'm getting control of things. Okay. So let's move on. I want to jump down past certification, social networks, come down here to site info. I want to cover all this stuff, but the site info is the next most important thing. I want to get that while we're still fresh and have time. There's some compliance issues I want to make sure that we cover. So find your way down there to site info and click through it with me. And here we're going to use this form to get control over things like this up here on the top. It says welcome to Treehouse Finder. The zoom's kind of weird on that. That looks a bit better, 125 for demonstration. We'll get control over this Treehouse Finder and our statement and all this kind of stuff. Now notice my KW logo is missing because it was white background. It kind of gets confusing. We'll cover that though as we're going through this stuff. So we're going to put our brand name and our tagline. We're going to upload a new logo. I'm going to show you put the KW Peachtree Road logo in and so forth. Get our name in there. Make things happen. So let's start with the branding area. Sometimes when I talk to folks on their website, I feel that there's a lot of pressure to come up with a world-class brand name and a tagline. And in my case, I said welcome to treehousefinder.com as my brand name because I intend to use treehousefinder.com as my website. And in that scenario, even though it's fictitious business, the treehousefinder.com does kind of work as a brand name because it says it all, right? If I told you go to treehousefinder.com, you know something to do with tree houses. So I just pretended like that was my brand name. If you're thinking about a domain name, I would encourage you, like if you're thinking already, if you already have one, you just need to figure out how to connect it and you haven't done it yet, then maybe you could put welcome to in your domain name that you're thinking about buying or that you have bought. You put that in there, and then I can help you get it tied in if you've purchased it, and I can help you purchase it if you haven't, and then tie it in so that it actually functions. But a brand name, I mean a branded domain name certainly works pretty good in the brand name field. But maybe you're not coming up with something. You know, that can be tough to do, especially at this point in your business when maybe you haven't defined your brand identity, maybe you don't have a domain name. So 2 things to consider. One is, don't feel pressure to come up with a world-class brand name right off the bat. I think it's far more important to understand the treatment of the brand name and the tagline on the website as it relates to the size and location of the font. So just look at it for a minute. Notice that welcome to treehousefinder.com is my brand name, right? If you look at my fields here, in this case I put welcome to treehousefinder.com as my brand name. Look at the treatment. It's this large font. You can't change the location, you can't change the size of the font. It's this large sans serif font. And then look down here, my tagline, looking for a simple backyard feature, recreational retreat or luxury canopy, yada, yada, yada. This is what I typed down here. So if you're having trouble coming up with a brand name and tagline, the first thing I'd say is learn kind of where the position is on your website. And then use these, the second part is use them as call to actions. So maybe what you could do, instead of saying welcome to treehousefinder.com, maybe instead I could try to incorporate some call to action in here to motivate some engagement. For example, maybe I could say something along the lines of, call me for a free buyer's consultation. Something like that. And maybe for my tagline, if I don't have anything to put in there, you can just borrow KW's, which is because your mood matters. These are, I'm just trying to break the ice here and get your creative process going a little bit. I'm going to save that for a minute and go look and see how that looks on my website. Call me for a free buyer's consultation. Probably would want to apostrophize that. I think I want to get out of the Plymouth for a minute.
So what does that link to then?
Nothing.
Oh.
It's clickable, but it doesn't link to anything. So I'm gonna put myself back on the Madison. I want to go back to default for a minute because I've got a couple other examples of things I want to show you. So
We could play with it, which is good, and see.
how I'm playing with it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I hope that helps. So I'm over. What do we got here? Oh, I just need to scroll down. So there's my page. Call me for a free buyer's consultation. If I click on that, it just reloads the page. Now, if I made that, if I said www.google.com, I think it might go to Google or whatever URL you might put in there. But those are just, I don't know why they made them hyperactive really. So I'm just playing around with that for a minute. Call me for a free buyer's consultation because your mood matters. Or maybe I don't even like the your mood matters. You can actually take that out and just say call me for a free buyer's consultation. Or maybe you could say, I don't know, you come up with a call to action that makes sense. What is it, you know, you gotta kind of think about your business and think about what your value proposition is to the world and what your target demographic is before you start writing stuff that really is gonna count here. So there we go, that's what it looks like without the tagline. No pressure there, didn't even put a tagline in. Call, I'll change that a little bit, make it a little bit prettier. Come in there to site info, call today for a free buyer's consultation. Now, I'm a big fan of fear marketing. Not that that's a mean thing, but I think fear marketing gets results. So maybe for the tagline, you could say something along the lines of, let's see, if for free buyer's consultation, are we in a seller's market or a buyer's market? I'm showing what I don't know. We're in a seller's market. So, so the tagline to say, you know, so if you're in a seller's market, help me out. That means that there's a lot of inventory.
No.
There's no inventory.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I need help.
Maybe before somebody buys your dream home.
There you go. Thanks. You know, so something like that.
That's a good one.
the time is now. Let's talk before someone swoops in on your stoop. I don't know, I'm just being silly. Okay, swoops your stoop. Come on. I don't think that's funny, swoops your stoop. Okay, dream home. It's fine. Alright. Thanks for the help. Dream home. So what you're doing is you're putting in a little bit of a motivator there. You know, you can use that because think about the font being small. Use that to your advantage. You know, you wouldn't put that long sentence in the branding comment because it's such a big font. But look how that actually fits. You know, time is now. Let's talk before someone swoops your dream home. Obviously, that's very cheesy. I'm just trying to make a point. You want to be professional about it, but you know, you can use this area as a call to action. Call today for a free buyer's consultation. You know, or something like that, or maybe you know, download. You could say something like download your free seller's kit or your free marketing kit, or download your free buyer's kit. And then later on, when you know how to add buttons, you can put buttons on your menu that says downloads, free downloads, or whatever. So you can incorporate a call to action that's telling people, browse my downloads and download my valuable information. You know, because ultimately what you want to do is establish yourself as an expert. You want to create engagement so that ultimately you end up talking to these people. So you can play around with the branding and the tagline. Don't feel the pressure to come up with something world-class today. A lot of times you'll put something in today and then you'll sleep on it and it'll hit you in 2 weeks. You know, you're like, oh, I got it. I know what I'm going to put in. You can go ahead and modify it. So uploading a logo. For uploading a logo, this is the first area on this page that deals with compliance. We want to make sure we nail this down correctly. For the logo, what we're doing is we're getting control over this logo right here. It's important that you put a GREC compliant logo. And so over here, there is a catalog of logos, but Peachtree Road is not in there. None of the Rawls Group are in there. There's more than one place to get your hands on a logo for Peachtree Road. I'm going to show you the way that I do it, though, which is by going to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. And the reason is because, well, you'll see the reason here. I'm making a point. But here's how you find it. If you go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, just open a new tab and navigate to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. You can scroll to the very bottom of my website. In the footer, I've got these quick links down here in red, quick links, where you can hit my training calendar, schedule a tech, print drivers, by the way, if you need drivers for the printers, here they are. And then also MC logos, market center logos in the footer. If you just click through MC logos, it'll take you to this page here that has crashed. Oh my goodness.
Mine's working.
Did it crash on yours or did it
No,
work?
it's working.
Mine's working as well.
Okay, wow, I'm about to go home. Me, I'm gonna go, y'all stay. So here's a list of all 6 of the Rawls Group locations, GREC compliant logos. And what's going on here on this page, Peachtree Road should be in here. There it is. So the actual preview is a JPEG. But if you click on it, what will happen is it'll start downloading a package, a zip file. If you're not familiar with zip files, we're going to be talking about zip files here in a second. And you can see on my Chrome browser, it's just downloading it here to the bottom left of my corner. There it is right there. It created a file called 271 Peachtree Road zip. A zip file, all it is it's a delivery mechanism, right? Inside a zip file, I've got a collection of files. And instead of making you download each file, I zip them up into one thing, and you just download the package, and then you unzip it, and then you have the contents. The contents being the Peachtree Road logo repeated in a variety of formats. So we're going to talk about that. The first thing I got to do is I got to unzip that. I'm just going to click on this arrow and say show in folder so I can find where my zip file is. There it is right there. I need to delete those other ones. That's from previous classes, but here's today's file. Peachtree Road, parentheses 4. It's the 4th version of that file. I'm going to right click on that and I'm just going to choose to unzip it. On a Mac, you can double click on it and Archive Utility will get it. On Windows, on this Windows, somebody's installed a program called 7-Zip. I don't know who did it, but it's there. So when I right click on the file, the context menu has 7-Zip. And I got to keep drilling into these options. This is just what I've got to deal with on Windows. And then choose to extract the file. If you don't have 7-zip and you just right click on a file, Windows has a native management here in this context. It'll say extract somewhere, so look for the words extract, or if you see the 7-zip logo, you're going to have to go to the 7-zip. A lot of people these days have 7-zip. I don't know how they got so popular. But here it is. As I'm working through it, it just popped up on my other screen. I'm going to say OK to the defaults. And what it's going to do is it's going to unzip a folder. It's going to create an unzip folder, and it's going to put it up here somewhere. And it's going to be that 271 Peachtree Road 4. There it is. Notice there's no zip logo on there. So I can actually, that's a regular folder that just got created. Just got created at 3:32 today. There it is. So I'm going to open it up, and inside it is all this content, and it's the file. It's the Peachtree Road logo repeated in multiple versions. Watch what I'm going to do with it. For this, just watch for a minute and soak it in. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to work with this tool over here to upload a logo. I'm going to click upload a file, and now it's wanting me to supply a file to be uploaded, and I know that I just downloaded and unzipped that Peachtree Road file, zip file right there. There's the folder right there that I'm working with. And if this is going over your head, if you're looking at a zip file, you're like, whoa, this is too much. Just watch what I'm doing. Know that I will make sure you leave here today with the right logo on your website. But hopefully you'll learn something just by watching, and hopefully you'll learn something about different file types here right now. So I'm using this dialog, this open dialog, to browse through the contents of that folder. And for the purposes of the website, most of what we're going to find, our answers are going to be in the RGB. So I'm going to click on the RGB folder, and I'm going to set this up so that I can get some preview here. Medium icons. Somebody has changed some of these settings, so you can't see the preview. Let's see. Tiles. I'll be darned. They've changed it, so you can't get a good preview of it. That's okay. We can still work with this. So what I've got is I've got 3 images to select from. The first one, if I hover over it, the information balloon pops up, and you can see it says item type is it's a JPEG file. And then the next one, if I hover over it, is a PNG file. See where it says item type PNG, and then the next one says item type PNG file. The difference between JPEG and PNG file for this example is that the JPEG features the logo presented on a white background, right? So you'll see what that looks like in a second. The PNG files feature the logo presented on a transparent background, which is going to have other purposes. And the difference between these two pictures, and it's hard to tell, let's see, is this one here is the logo presented on a transparent background with black lettering, and then this one says reversed on it. It's going to be white lettering. And I know that's kind of confusing, but watch the difference here between these. So I'm going to load this JPEG first and let you see that. Here we go. I'm going to open up the JPEG. There it is. It's a JPEG presented on a white background, red lettering for KW, black lettering for Peachtree Road. Look and see how it looks on my website. When I save that, you come in here to view my site. When I reload the page, the city side logo on the top left should go away, and the Peachtree Road logo is there. Now that's what JPEG looks like presented on a white background. You see the problem, right? It's ugly, yeah? So you can correct that by using PNG files, which feature clear backgrounds. Watch this. If I come over here and go back into site settings, site info, upload a file, it's going to remember where I was. There's my JPEG. These two are my PNGs. Since there's no preview here, I'm just going to do one and see how it looks. I'm going to do the first one. I can see the preview there. Red lettering with black lettering. Okay, that works. Let's go put that in. Go look at my site. All right, you can see now where my logo lost the white background. You can see where everything's really nice and tight. Keller Williams is kind of hard to read. Can you even see the KW on it though? Right? No, not very well. So you can play around with that a little bit even further. Watch this. We'll come into site info again. want to upload a file. This time I'll try the last PNG. This is a red KW with white lettering. So if I come over here and save that and go look at it, recycle the page, you can see we're making progress, right? We've got the red problem, red KW problem, but here white lettering without, you know, it's nice and tight so you can actually read it. That's looking pretty good. Now one way I could fix that, a cheap shot would be to go back to my theme selection and take myself off of the red. You know, I could put myself in the blue, for example, or the green. In this case, I'm going to do gray and save it, and I could refresh the page, and it sort of would solve my issue, right? The KW now shows up because it's correct. But if I really wanted that red background, I come over here, put it back on red, recycle it, I'm going to get my problem again. So the red KW blends in there, it blends, so I lost it. Look at this, I could come in here and I could play with the logo even further, and I could get out of this RGB folder. I'm going to go up a level. There's the RGB I was in. I'm going to go to black and white. Now these feature black and white images, the first one being a JPEG, the next one being PNG, followed by another PNG, followed by another PNG. And I'm going to cut to the chase and tell you this last PNG is everything white. The letterings for KW are white, Peachtree Road's in white on a clear background, which looks really good on dark colors, especially when it's all red background. So watch. If I put that PNG in there, see the preview, white KW on white lettering with a clear background, it's going to look smashing. Watch this. So it's what I had before for Cityside. You can see that's very all-purpose, nice and tight, right? So you can play around with that. Now a lot of times you go to a website or if you go to Agent Services and ask for office logo and say, hey, you got a copy of the office logo? What people throw around all the time is they throw this around. They throw this JPEG around with a white background, which if your project deals with a white sheet of paper for a letterhead or a white coffee mug or a white t-shirt, that's fine, you know. But if it's something else, you can see where downloading the zip file gives you a lot of choices. So if you're working with a vendor on a project, they say, yeah, we can do the bumper sticker for you. Do you got an office logo? Here's what you can do. Instead of sending this, look at these links over here. You can actually copy this Peachtree Road link, copy that, put that in an email and say, yeah, here's my logo in a variety of formats, and let them figure it out. It's got TIFF format, CMYK, 2000, JPEG, BMP, GIF. It's got all these different formats. If you want to make a billboard out of it, you can with the TIFF file. It's awesome. So I think that's a helpful resource to have the images in those different size and different formats. Pushing on, we got our branding, we got our logo in there. A common issue that happens, people will say, hey, I've uploaded my logo, but it's not showing at all. And I find that this check mark has come unchecked. So make sure display logo is checked and display name and tagline. I hear that too. People say, I keep writing my brand name or keep writing my tagline and it's not showing. And you want to make sure those check marks are checked. We're going to skip over favicon. It's not really needed right now. We'll talk about that maybe in another class, but today we're going to move on. Let's get into contact and details. This is something else. I just want you to just watch this for a minute, and then once you've seen it, I'll get you to just put your information in one time. Watch this with me. If I put in my name, Scott Hardy, my best web address, my best email address and my phone number, and upload my best photo. You know how I know this is my best photo? Because my granny's got that framed right there, my corporate photo on her dresser. I walked by and I said, "You got to be kidding me, Granny! You framed my corporate picture." Cracks me up. So if you got a picture granny worthy, then you know you can put it on there. I just saw Elizabeth just a while ago. She's here from is it Hello Headshots? She's the one who took the shot. I hate getting my photo taken, but she did it, and she was here today taking people's photos. I think she does a great job. So Hello Headshots, great resource. But anyway, put your headshot up in here. I put mine in there. Keep watching what I'm doing. I'm going to put in my company name. We're Keller Williams. You have the choice of putting Keller Williams Realty or Keller Williams Realty Peachtree Road or Keller Williams Peachtree Road. I'm going to put Realty Peachtree Road. Put the whole thing in there for now to see how it looks. You've got an option there. The phone number. Who knows the phone number out here?
404
419-3500.
There you go.
Now, company, can we not put our like we're office building brokers, can we not put our company's name even though we're part of, because we have a logo.
I would check with,
Kathy.
yes, with Kathy Woods, thank you. I would check with Kathy Woods. In the commercial world, you might be an exception. For all the residential people, make sure you put in the company name Keller Williams Realty Peachtree Road or Keller Williams Peachtree Road. And do y'all know the address, or should I go get it? 804 Town Boulevard. Oh, look, somebody already put it in. Atlanta, Georgia. How about the zip code? Anybody?
30319.
30319?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I got Justin Landis got in there. I don't know how. I'm going to leave that blank. And 804 got butchered up somehow. I don't know how that happened. 804 Town Boulevard. There it is. Okay. So now I've got that information in there. SEO stuff we're going to leave blank. That's another class, another time. So now I've got my contact information, my headshot, and I got the business address. Watch what happens though. Here's a compliance issue I want to make you aware of. And I want to take this home, or whatever they say. Take it on home. So watch when I recycle the page, everything should come up. It should have Keller Williams, Peachtree Road. Yeah. So here's the deal. The compliance issue is there's something called a broker prominence. Y'all heard that? When you're advertising listings, your name can't show up more times than the broker's name. And in some cases, size.
The logo has to be bigger than
Yeah, the logo has to be bigger.
logos, too.
So here on the website, what they're counting is the number of occurrences. I know on the signage, you got to have the logo on the right size, but here they're looking for the number of occurrences. Look with me the number of times that you see the broker's name. Okay, we got it right here. Keller Williams, Peachtree Road, that's one time. And I'm moving kind of quickly because I know where it is again. It's nowhere over here. Here it is a second time. And then over here doesn't really count. That's a generic Keller Williams logo, right? That's not your broker's name. The broker's name is down here. So it occurred 2 times. Keller Williams Realty Peachtree Road. And then count the number of times your name is showing up, or my name is showing up. And here it is, Scott Hardy once. Look at that. Scott Hardy twice. And Scott Hardy 3 times. So the reason we're even bringing this up is because we have a problem where agents are getting cited for the prominence rule. They're getting fined $500 because their name shows up 3 times and the broker's name showed up twice on this template, and that came to the attention of the OP office, where agents were having to pay a $500 fine for this. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So here's what we came up with. We realized we got to do something, and it occurred to us that what if in your site name, site info, what if where your name is, you wrote Scott Hardy, something like with Keller Williams Realty Peachtree Road. Now if I were to add that in there, save it and go look at my website, recycle it. Now everywhere my name shows up, the broker's name shows up. So now if you were to count it up, let it load up here. I think you're with me here. You see what's happening. You can see now I got Peachtree Road there once. There it is again twice. There it is again 3 times. There it is a 4th time, and then a 5th time. So it's 5 to 3. 3 times my name, 5 times the Peachtree Road name. So that is now compliant, but ugly. We realize that, right? So here's why I want you to wait, because I just want you to see the final answer. I'll make my point and then show you the final answer. To get rid of this problem, isn't that a problem? That looks ugly, right? So what you can do is we also found out that in the site info, these fields here, name and so forth, actually read, they read text, but they also read inline HTML. You can put basic HTML commands in the fields. So what that means is we could take something like the word with, and I could change that and put in a command, HTML command, such as this command here, open bracket, BR, close bracket, which means break return. What that means in the world of HTML is anything after that BR gets pushed to the next line. So Keller Williams Realty Peachtree Road will get pushed below my name to the next line. And by the way, an HTML command doesn't get printed out on the screen. It executes the command, but it doesn't print it out. So now look, this gets a lot cleaner, looks way better. Watch what happens there. It will push it down. Come on. do feel like that's a Placester KW thing going on right now. I was just checking network speeds, we're good. So this is something going on with them, I believe. Let me hit it again. Speed test. Let's see what we're getting. Oh yeah. We are definitely hitting good. Let's see if it came up. Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. So you can see where it moved it down, Scott Hardy, and then it put Keller Williams Realty Peachtree Road down below it.
Oh, yeah.
See how it did that, and it's going to follow that down there, and it's going to follow it down here as well. Now, there's not much you can do about this, although you do have the option to include realty or not, and I'd say, you know, just to make it nice and clean, I would take the realty part out.
Could you make it white with HTML so that way it doesn't show up in that spot, but it does up top?
I've not tried that. I would love to know if you could do that. Keller Williams Realty, Peachtree Road, I'll take the realty out. That's a great question. Super observation there. I will try that out now that you've asked the question. I might do that here at 4 o'clock. So now if I go recycle the page, it should be formatted a little bit better. I know we're waiting on this page to load, it's crazy. There we go. That looks way better, right?
Yeah.
So now the site's compliant and it's even formatted a little bit more palatable. I can deal with that and move on and spend my money somewhere else.
Okay,
Right?
so when you click on the email me up there, it takes you automatically to the email, like it's already converted,
When you click on the email up
integrated.
there, it's a mail to tag. What that means is it's going to, whatever the visitor, the website visitor has for an email client, it's going to call that client up. So if your visitor uses Outlook and they've got Outlook set up on their computer and they click email me, it's going to trigger Outlook to compose a message. If they don't have a default mail client set up, it will trigger an error message and it'll try to get them to configure a mail client. There's nothing you can do about that as far as helping that person, because you don't know who's clicking on your website and who's going to encounter that. So if you hit email me like here, it's gonna my page is gonna go nuts on it. It's gonna be like, wait, do you have an email set up? Who's it gonna use?
Okay, but it defaults to Outlook is what you're saying.
If the computer is set for Outlook, if the user's computer is set for Outlook, it would default to Outlook. If your Mac is set for Mac Mail and you click on it, then it's gonna call up Mac Mail.
What I'm saying is the agents, like I would get that email if a client, if a customer.
If they successfully send the email out, yeah, regardless of their email client, yeah, it was gonna follow whatever you put in this site info.
Oh, whatever
right
I
there.
find, okay, that's right, okay. Gotcha.
So in review, there's my corrected answers right there. I've got my name, Scott Hardy, open bracket, BR, close bracket, Keller Williams Peachtree Road. I put my email address in there. So that'd be my contact email. So it's gonna go to demo@rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. All right, leave the email blank for the broker, but make sure you get the broker's information in the way I've got it, and that should be compliant.
Okay.
Everybody with me on that?
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure we got that covered there. All right, let's move back up to some of the things that we skipped over, and we'll close up this thing before much longer. So certifications, real easy to do, certifications. If we look at our certifications, it presents us with the certification gallery where we can look at different certifications. You can't add any certifications to this gallery, so you either have one of these or you don't. All right, if you see one, if you have one that's not listed, you can't upload it somehow. You just got to deal with what they've got. You can choose a maximum of 6. You can actually click on more than 6, but only 6 are going to show up. The first 6 will show up. So try to find anything you may have. That's new. They actually added some new ones. Oh, they actually have added some new ones. That's good. But again, I would say that most people would agree. Equal housing opportunity is one you could select. National Association of Realtors, you could select that one as well. I used to tell everybody, don't forget to get your Atlanta Board of Realtors right up here, and until somebody raised their hand, like a year after I've been saying that, and they're like, hey, you know that's not Atlanta Board of Realtors, right? That's accredited buyer's resource. And I was like, oh, whoops. I felt pretty silly about that. So if you see a certification you own, go ahead and tap on it and hit save and lock it in. That was easy. Social network, pretty easy to do. all you're going to do is for every one of these blanks here, you probably recognize these social media channels, they just want the trailing part of your social media web address. So I put in Keller Williams Answers because my social media is really not ready for work. Like my Facebook page and my Twitter page is dirt bikes and camping and gardening and things like that. It doesn't really represent any kind of business. It's not professional. So the principle applies whether you put Facebook for KW or yourself. I just chose Keller Williams because their stuff is really good content. Take a look. Just follow what I do for a minute. If I go to kw.com and scroll to the bottom of the page, down here is a collection of social media badges on the main KW site. If I click on their Facebook page, first thing I would tell you is look how the page is set up, and it's very much the culture of the company. It's not lead capture, it's not listings, it's the culture of the company. And so it's safe content for my customers to see this. And so what you could do, if you study this web address up here at the top, it says www.facebook.com/Keller Williams Realty. That's what they want. They want you to copy the part after the .com/. So facebook.com/, I'm going to focus on that, and then what I'm going to capture is the back end of it. Right after that slash, copy that answer. And this, if you were at your profile at Facebook, you look for the same thing. Copy the part after the .com and then paste it in. There it goes. And that's how I got the Keller Williams Facebook page loaded up. For Twitter, the same applies. If I go to their Facebook, their kw.com, and click on their Twitter icon and look at the link, twitter.com/KWRI, there it is right there. That is, again, the content is very much the culture and what's happening in the company. Safe for my customers. No lead generation, so I put in KWRI. If I were to go look at my personal Twitter page, I just know from habit it's S. Hardy. So there's my personal Twitter page. And if I were to go in here and look, then twitter.com/ there it is, S. Hardy. That's the part I would need on mine. That's the part you would need on yours. Go in there and I put, if I were to put in S. Hardy in there, now my little social media badge on my website, if you click on the Twitter bird, it would take you to Scott Hardy's profile instead of KW's. I'm going to put KW's back in there. Same thing works with LinkedIn. Don't be thrown off by the fact that when you look at the LinkedIn, it is a little bit longer of a URL, but the concept still works. So it's, here it comes KW's profile, linkedin.com/company/Keller Williams Realty Inc. You need the whole thing. So you focus your attention, find the .com in there, .com/, there it is, and then pick up right after the slash, company/Keller Williams Realty Inc. Do the same thing with your profile. Sometimes with LinkedIn, if you have an old LinkedIn account, you may have to convert the profile link. So if you are copying your link and it's not working, let me know after class and I'll show you how to convert it so that it complies to the current status. Any one that you leave blank, like Pinterest I left blank, Google I left blank, the icon just won't show up on your website. So if you don't fill in a blank, the icon doesn't show up. If you do fill it in, the icon shows up and takes you to the destination. So I've got in the Keller Williams answers right now. YouTube is just Keller Williams. Instagram.com, Keller Williams Realty, if you want to match mine up. Or if you want to go visit those websites of yours, if you have a YouTube channel, go visit your YouTube channel and get your YouTube name, the suffix after the slash, and bring it in. Very simple to do. If you run into problems with that, let me know after class. I'll help you get your social media tied in. I'm going to go ahead and save that and lock those in. And I want to spend our final minutes here talking about the menu and adding some items to the menu. So this is what we're talking about. This menu here is editable. And everybody starts out with a default menu. It should start out with home, listing, search, about me. I've got a custom item there, and then you should have a contact somewhere. And if I were to go into Placester's control panel and click on menu, right there, I get what I call a menu map, where you can see sort of a layout of what your menu looks like. And there's mine, home, listing, search, about me, and then there's something else called home. We'll talk about that now. the first thing I would teach you about the menu is how to label your buttons. Take a look at the home button I've got here. This home button, if I click on the black, actually anywhere on it, it opens up and it reveals the label. If I click on my listing search, it reveals the label. And here's what a label is. Whatever you put in for the label is what the button is going to look like on your, it's the actual name of the button on the toolbar.
Okay.
So if I were to say, for example, listing search, if I clicked on listing search, it takes me to an advanced property search on my website. Yours should have a listing search that works the same way. When you click on it, it should take you to an advanced property search. Give that a second. There it comes. So if I wanted to make that a little more engaging, I might change the label for my listing search. And here's how I would do that. I would come over and find that button. There it is. And maybe change the label from listing search to something like find your next home. Just playing around with it a little bit. Now if I were to go down and save that, see how I scrolled down the bottom and hit my green save button to lock that choice in. Now if I go look at my site and recycle it, or just go back to home page for a minute, the word listing search is going to change my menu. According to the label I've updated, it should say find your next home, but the action, the functionality stays the same. It's still going to take me to that search page. There it is, find your next home. I like that. Maybe an explanation point could be in there. But now when I click on it, find your next home, it takes me back to that same search tool. About me, if I click on that, it takes me to my bio. Maybe I want to personalize that a little more. Instead of saying about me, maybe I could say, how could I make that more personal? I could come in, I could say the about me button, let me adjust the label. How about Scott? Makes it a little bit more personal, doesn't it? And I'll save that and go load. Recycle the page. And the about me should change to the word about Scott. Let's go load. They're killing me here. The speed is nuts. They must. My take on it is when Placester slows down, I think they're updating things. I think they're adding features and patching things up. Oh my, come on. Wow. That is, there it is, about Scott. Finally lit up. Okay, but when I click on it, it still takes me to my profile page. It's still going to work. So changing the labels on the menu is the first thing. Now, these things here, this home button here has a label called Featured Cities. This is something else that I added as a custom thing I added for a different topic for a different day. We're not going to get into what's going on there yet. Those are the IDX pages that I spoke to earlier. But what I will show you in a few minutes is how I did this nested button. But before I can get into that, we need to add some new content. It is 4 o'clock. I've got about 10 or 15 minutes worth of content. Y'all good to keep going? Okay.
You have to go. Thank you, though.
No, you can't go. I hate that you have to go, but get on my schedule. If you got some follow-up questions, watch the video, whatever the case is, book an appointment with me. So here's the deal. So if I want to add,
Thanks so much, Scott.
you bet. Thanks
Hey,
for
I have
coming.
a quick question about Scott. Do you put a bio there and do we have a feature to type in about us? What exactly would that
There
be?
is there's a pre-built bio that you can put that they've already put in for you,
Oh,
and you
okay.
can edit it.
You can edit it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can edit it. We're not going to have time to edit
Yeah, I
into
know,
it, but yeah,
it's in
it
there.
can be edited. But
When
it's
you
in
put,
there.
Wherever you put that about Scott, it's
Mhm.
in there for us
It
to
is.
type.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you'll be able to edit it.
Yeah, I didn't see
So I want to run you through an exercise of adding 2 items to our menu. And the first item I want to add is a link to download your mobile property search app. Who here has even seen your mobile property search app? You know what I'm talking about on your phone?
No.
Okay, this is a great tool that KW has for your phone. It's a search tool. It's an IDX search tool, right? So you know what that means, that if somebody's using this to search listings, it's going to have your contact info on the app, right? Oh, that's what's coming in. So the idea is that you want your consumers to have this app on their phone. So when they're searching properties or when they're out and about looking at listings out in the field, if they want more information, they call you and you speak on the listing as a buyer's agent. So because it's IDX, the way it works is everybody has a unique web address for your app. Because the premise is when you have the app on your phone, I have an app, you've got an app, you've got an app, and when somebody's clicking on the listings, it's going to have my contact information. In order for the system to know how to do that, they had to serialize everybody's app. And part of that is everybody has a unique link to download the app. And that generates a bit of confusion because people often say, hey, how do you get the link? How do you get the app to somebody? And the first step to getting your app to somebody is you got to know what your custom link is, right? So that's what I want to show you first, is how to add a button right here to download your mobile app. So here's how it works. Go to Placester, look at our menu map here, and if I go all the way down the bottom, I've got this add tool. Before I hit the add tool, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to open this up and I'm going to choose an object to add. Now I've got a lot of objects because I've been creating my website, playing around with it. To add a custom link, which is what we're doing, here's what you need to do. Scroll the bottom of your list that shows up and find where it says custom URL and load that up. Load this up so it says custom URL, and then you're ready to hit the add button. When I hit the add button, I get this custom URL form that I got to fill out. I got to put a label in there, a URL, and it asks for a tooltip. Well, we know what the label is. We talked about what labels are on a button already, right? On a button, if we're adding a button to right here, and when you click on the button, it downloads a mobile app, then you want to write a label that tells the user what to expect when they click on it. So the label here, a good label would be download free mobile app, could be it. Mobile app. It could be download my app, mobile app. It could just be free download. It could be free mobile app. You can always go back and relabel it if you think of something better. But for now, I'm going to create a label called download free mobile app. And that's going to put a button on my menu that's called download free mobile app. Now the next question, the URL, this is where we got to figure out the custom link for your app. My URL is going to be one thing. Your URL is going to be another. We all have a unique web address for our mobile app. So here's an easy way to figure out, super easy way to figure out what your custom link is. I have a tool at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. Navigate yourself to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, and when you get there, go to the top where it says New Agents. Hover over New Agents and scroll through the menu till you see step number 5. It says Step 5, eAgency My Mobile App Introduction. And when you click on that, it should take you to a page on my website that describes the mobile app. If you don't know about the mobile app, this is good reading on your own. Take a look at it. It describes the mobile app, how it works, gives you screenshots of what it looks like. You can learn a lot about it. There's a video you can watch. This is just good information for you. But the tool that we're looking for to figure out your link is down here towards the bottom. It's this section where it says where to find your agent code. Find this big graphic on the page. This big graphic with the red band and the QR code. When you see this big graphic, click anywhere on the picture and the system will figure out what your link is. The system has just figured out what my link is. My link is right here where it says mobile URL. And there's my custom link right there. This will download Scott Hardy's mobile app. Everybody's link looks the same. It starts out http://app.kw.com, but then it's different for everybody right here. This number, notice we have a code. It's that number or serial number, however you want to look at it. They incorporate your code, your serial number in the back. So it's this link right here that gets my personal app. I'm going to copy that. You need to copy yours. And if I want to test it out just to see that it truly is mine, I can open a new browser window and I can go visit that link that I just copied and make sure I see a page like this. This is the download page for the app, and notice my name is in it.
So that serves as good confirmation. That's my link. Your name and your picture, eventually your picture, but yeah, your picture should be there. Now, because I'm at this link on a computer, remember the software is designed to run on a phone or a tablet, not a computer. So if you go to the download link on a computer, you get this crazy page that wants you to put your phone number in and hit the black button that says send a link to your phone, because you want to download this to a mobile device. If you go to this same link that I copied on a mobile device, instead of this page, you actually will be taken to the Apple Store or to the Play Store, and it starts downloading the app, the serialized app for you. Okay, so now that I know my link, I'm going to come back to my Placester, and here I've got an answer for URL. I'm going to paste my custom link. Tooltip is optional. You don't have to add a tooltip. I don't particularly care for tooltips, but I'll put one in so you can see it. I'm going to say here, be sure to download this app to your phone. A tooltip, right? Because it doesn't work on a PC, so I'm just giving them a tooltip that says, hey, this will work on your phone. The tooltip shows up when you hover your mouse over the button. So now I've got my label, download free mobile app. I got my URL, my custom link. I got a tooltip for demonstration purposes. I'm going to lock that in. I'm going to go look at it on my website. I'm going to recycle the page. I'm going to make a cup of coffee and get a sandwich and come back. Oh no, it loaded up pretty quick. And look, download free mobile app now shows up on my toolbar. Two reasons why I want you to go through this exercise today. One, it's valuable to have the link. Makes it easier for you because now you got the link. If somebody says, hey, how do I get your mobile app? You can send them to your website and you can download it.
Or we can send it to them.
Or you can send it to them. But I think it's better to send them to your website because you want to get them on your website.
Anyways,
right?
Yeah.
That's reason number one. Reason number two I want you to see and experience this is there's a notorious bug when it comes to adding links to your website, and I want you to see how to correct it. It usually hits about half the room, and it almost always hits me. So let's go look now. I'm going to go and I'm going to try and click on this. Let's see what happens when I click on download free mobile app. Let's see if I get the bug or not. Okay, I did. The bug hit me. Did you see what happened? When I clicked on download free mobile app, nothing happened, right? It didn't download anything, didn't take me to my download. Did it work?
It happened to me the first time, and then I redid it,
And you redid it?
Yeah.
You got to redo it, right? Watch this. Look at this. If I go take a closer look.
It wiped it out. In the
Oh, come on, you're stealing my thunder. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. You got it. If I come and take a closer look, here it is, download free mobile app. And if I open it up,
the URL is gone.
the URL is gone. You're right. Isn't that a crazy little bug? The URL is gone. So no wonder it doesn't work. Y'all saw me paste it in there. Here's an easy fix. I used to say, just type it in manually. And people would mistype their link and it wouldn't work and everything. Watch this. It's easier to just paste it and then delete the last character. So if I look closely at mine, it ends with M, N, and then number 1. I'm just going to delete the 1 and retype the 1, and that's sufficient to lock it in. It won't get lost. If you're ever adding a link and you have to retype it and you see capital letters and lowercase letters, make sure you maintain the cap sensitivity. But now that I've put that number 1, I've deleted it and then retyped it, I'm going to come in here and check out my website, recycle the page, and I'm going to click on it, and hopefully, and there it goes, it worked. Now it's actually working. Right? So that's not unique to the mobile download. That's unique to, that happens to any link you paste into the Placester site. Be aware that you need to delete the last character and retype it, right? Because it'll drive you crazy. You'll think, oh, I just spent an afternoon linking up things and now it's not working.
Be aware you have to go back and do it again.
You don't have to do it again. You can do it the first time.
Okay.
So when you go to add your menu, I was a little dramatic. I was walking you through it slowly because I want to make a point, but you got a great question there. The first time you put a link in there, you can correct it as you go. So you don't have to do it twice, right? Look at that, it's there. URL is there. And by the way, if I hover, you can see the tooltip. There it is. You see the little balloon pop up? If I hover my mouse, there it is. Be sure to download this app to your phone. I don't care for it. It looks like the 90s to me, a little bitty small font. I don't think it's very functional. One more example and I'll break us, okay?
I want to add one more link, and that's for the monthly, this month in real estate video. Now this is a little bit different process, similar idea though. Watch this. We're going to come in here, go to Placester, and I'm still in my menu. If you don't remember, we're just working here in our menu map here, menu. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add a custom URL. I'm going to add it, and I got our same form to fill out. So the first thing I got to do is a label. And now this month in real estate, what it is, it's a video that updates automatically and gives you real estate trends and statistics for this month. It's produced by Keller Williams. So I need to make a button that's consistent with what's going to happen when they click on it. This month in real estate is a really long button name though, right? So I'm going to put something along the lines of maybe you could say video update. That would make a good button name. Monthly video. RE video update, maybe it could work. Play around with it. Figure out a label that you like. All right, I'm going to go with video update for now. That's speaking to me. I like it. For URL, we got to come up with a link. Now, unlike the mobile property search app, which everybody had their own unique link, we're all going to use a common link. Right? It's not serialized like the mobile app. And here's the easiest way to get the link. If you go back over to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, any page, doesn't matter which page you're on, use the search field at the top right. I'm going to give you a code. In this search field, type in a code, which is TMIRE. Stands for this month in real estate. Right? Easy enough. Type in this month in real TMIRE, hit enter. And oh my goodness, my page is just having some trouble today. There it is. And you'll get a link for TMIRE. What this is, it's just a tutorial page that's in progress that I never really finished, I'll admit. But the value of coming to this in progress page is I've got the link you need right here, really big and easy to copy. Copy that link. So I'm going to copy that address. I'm going to copy it just like it is and go plant it into my URL field. Now remember the deal, right? We know what happens. I've got to correct it. This link ends with 7 lowercase n uppercase r. I'm going to delete the uppercase r and retype it because we already know the drill, right? And then I'm going to save it. And now when I go to my website, recycle the page. If everything is done correctly, we should have a new button called Video Update. It's kind of hard to read that. It doesn't have a very good space in it. When I click on it, it should bring the This Month in Real Estate in full screen up to view.
Welcome to This Month in Real Estate for March 2018.
There you go. All right. It updates every month automatically for you. It's a nice little thing to have. Provides for good experience for you to add some things to your toolbar, but it also adds some worthwhile content.
Yeah.
So. Well, folks, it is 4:15. I have showed you 98% of everything I meant to show you. I'm going to go ahead and break us, though, now. And like I said before, I'm not going to bail on you. If you got some questions, now's a good time to ask them. I'll come around desk side, help you work on your stuff. I'm going to go ahead and turn the lights on and just invite you to work on your web page and take advantage of me being here. Thank y'all for coming today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
All right. So, I have some questions.
Yeah.
Well, I have 3
Let
questions.
me stop this video real quick,
Okay.
and then